Welcome back, everybody. The area we're going to be doing now is boards and commissions. Our first board is redevelopment. Bernadette, thank you. For the people that are watching online, please introduce yourself.
I'm Bernadette Clayton and Chair of the Redevelopment Commission.
Thanks for coming in.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, Van, Linda, everybody here. This has been a tough year. Three words come to mind when I think about it in Port Royal: COVID, community, communication. COVID created a mess to work through. The feeling of loss of community and the sense of isolation was born, and the need for a better level of communication was necessary. You all should have had the opportunity to review what the Redevelopment Commission has done over the past year in my report. We have stayed busy and continued to meet regularly. The purpose of the Redevelopment Commission is to make recommendations to Council to help enhance the business base and result in a better economy for the town to build and operate off. Here are some of the recommendations we did complete. Short videos for businesses to let people know they were opened or reopened. Updating the business page of the town's website with COVID relief information. The Port Royal Pride in Business grant program. And we do hope that you will refund that again for the new year. I've already had inquiries about it. A business survey with the Beaufort County Economic Development Corporation, and we are expecting the results of that survey at our April meeting. I hope we are going to get a better response than I know the comprehensive plan did. The survey is designed to ask questions and best methods of communication, which is, as you already know, is key for me. What a business wants to see here, etc. John O'Toole and Charlie Stone are working on the property inventory list. A session to go over that was requested, but I have not had a follow-up on that from them or from the office here. The ones that have not been completed are our request that the signage be replaced. And the addition of a new sign where you come into Port Royal over the Broad River, that direction. You and I talked about that, Mayor. And with that signage request, the flags at the monument was brought forward again, that Van and worked on a new design with Spectrum that would be in compliance with the overhead wiring and the size of the land, since the town didn't own as much as we had thought the town did. And then the other thing that we've requested and hasn't been completed yet is the business directory on the website. The town of Port Royal is going through some big changes in the office. Issues that from the outside looking in were apparent before COVID. With COVID, these weaknesses become more pronounced. From all perspectives, we need to ensure the confidence in the town and the staff is a high priority. It is a small staff that needs to be expanded on. It is great to have a website, one of the things that the Redevelopment Commission worked hard to get done last year. But now it needs to be well maintained and up to date. On top of that, that personal touch, the face behind the computer screen or telephone line, is critical to make the town an inviting place to do business, live, and visit. Communication is critical for the town. Emails, texts, they are great to confirm and provide confirmed dates and provide information, set appointments. But too often I see a written statement in an email misinterpreted in as many ways as the number of people who read it. Being able to talk to a real person can be one of the best ways to make the town of Port Royal the place you want to come, do business, and live. The commission needs to be able to meet in person. Zoom has been great to get us through COVID, but there's nothing like a conversation face-to-face. Redevelopment, as I just discussed, has made recommendations that have not been followed through on. You're volunteers, and there are many talented people in this town that are ready and able to help. They're losing faith in what is happening. If we keep making recommendations, giving hours and hours of time and having things lost in email chains or simply not given the credence deserved, these people will stop being available. I tried to get a meeting scheduled with you, as you know, Mayor, and you said you were going to give dates, and that's where it ended. That was 2 weeks ago. I think communication with the commissions is vital. And I do recognize, Van, you are under a huge amount of pressure with a certain key person getting ready to retire. But follow through is important. As we come out of COVID and as the town rebuilds the staff and moves forward, let us get back to the sense of community that people used to talk about. Make our streets walkable, safe, and inviting for residents, businesses, and visitors. Let's get some things done.
Good. Well, a lot of what you talked about are things that we've talked about this morning already in some of
I've
our
listened.
goal settings and where we want to go. And I think that nobody here in council would disagree with you on any of those areas as far as getting back to normality and whatever that ends up to be. The aspect of meeting in person is still a conversation that we are going to have later today, and when
Yes.
that occurs and how we do that, I think we all understand our boards and commissions need to start being able to meet again, but we've got to make sure that we can do that in a safe manner, and how much we allow Zoom meetings, as we like to call them, or virtual meetings, be part of that. And that's something that we're going to be talking about later today. And from your opinion, it's clearly that you would much rather, what I hear here, is meet in person.
I think the fact that more people are able to see what's going on via this broadcasting over Facebook is great. But when it comes, even just sitting here, when I'm looking at a computer screen and having a conversation with you, being here in the room with you is so much more effective. It makes all the difference in the world. And you can have conversations rather than waiting for somebody to finish. And then that whole back and forth, it was a great tool. I had no doubt about it. And I think the town utilized it very well and got us through some pretty rough times. But the feedback that I get is, let's get back to the normal, to the sense of normalcy, and let's get together. I mean, I even with the comprehensive plan, which I sit on that, it's been hard to get the feel when we were not in the same room. The times that we were able to meet in the same room, I think we got a lot done. It's much more efficient, much more effective. Again, my opinion.
Talk to us a little bit more about the things that you feel that have been recommended and not gone to the next level.
Well,
What can we do in that way?
Well, I'd love to. I was very excited and met with Spectrum out on site and was very excited about the signs. We did that back in September, and I think it's now the end of March. I'm surprised that it wasn't completed. That was one big one, because that brings that welcoming. It puts the brand that Port Royal has adopted out there for people to see, and not the signs that are pretty old and weary looking. Let's see. We talked about the artist building. Kate Fossum, who was great on our commission before she left us for California, had tried to get that going with conversations with WIT, and we were trying to get it coordinated, and that all fell by the wayside. I know that the streetscapes and beautification of Paris Avenue is on the table still, and that was a real focus on one of our other commissioners. And then, I hear at council meetings you talking about the shrimp docks, and that the shrimp docks at mid-year had lost $100,000. Ginny Eads put in an amazing amount of time to bring that issue forward, that it was a losing proposition, that the town and I recognize that the shrimp docks, their ambiance, it's critical for the town, it's part of the town's history, and there were ways that it could be worked out. Instead of losing $100,000 on the shrimp docks to keep an operation going like that's losing money, it's better staff the office. Add people so that when, Van needs a sick day, somebody's there to field questions, answer, have a better staff, a more expanded staff. My opinion, Van should have an assistant. Planning is going to be tough to replace. Have a dedicated secretary to Van and whoever fills Linda's giant shoes. I think you would find the operation of the town would run smoother. And again, that personal touch that we found when we came here in 2016 was remarkable. I fell in love with it. That's why I volunteer. That's why I'm part of redevelopment. That's why I'm part of the Friends of Port Royal Cypress Wetlands. It's a great town. It needs to be run more efficiently, and that'll help your business expansion.
Council. Open conversation. Anybody have anything for Bernadette?
No question.
And for what the redevelopment commission is doing? We look forward to the survey. I know that we're all looking forward to the results.
I'm hoping that we will get a good response from that survey. It went out right before our normal last meeting, which is why we didn't bother to meet. We all retired.
Very good. Anything else? Well, we'll see what we'll go back and we'll talk about the Spectrum sign and see where that is and what's holding that up. The shrimp dock is still a big conversation for later today. That's going to be happening after we're done with our department head updates. So if you get an opportunity to watch online, do that. If not, you can follow up later and hear where we end up with that conversation.
One thing that I also think that should be addressed by council is that there needs to be regular meetings with the commissioners of your chairs of your commissions, so that we know what page you guys are on. It's hard to try and figure out where we're going. You might have already done something that we're trying to do. And again, I know that this whole year has been difficult to deal with the issue of meeting, but I think that would be important.
I think one thing, if you'll allow me to say that, a lot of this I'm looking at from redevelopment commission is big picture stuff that we talk about through Van, and then also we've got a representative on the commission. I believe you attend it pretty regular, right? So you're there, and we talk about things that go on there. But I'm looking at big picture items, and I'll tell you what, I got a lot of confidence in our staff.
I think the staff is good. I just think that
I got a lot of confidence in our staff.
Yeah, I think your staff is good. I'm not saying that at all. I just think that as the town grows, if you don't start planning ahead for expansion of that staff, you're going to have a hard time.
I don't disagree with that, but I got a lot of confidence in the staff and a lot of things that we've accomplished this year, even in the face of a global pandemic, that we've kept things moving forward. We've kept good vision, and our folks have done a great job, and we appreciate y'all.
And we're certainly open to, first of all, we know you're volunteers, and to ask you to come to a council meeting to report to us is just another level of time. But I would love for you to come quarterly and come to our workshops and have a conversation with us. And we'll check with all of our chairmen and see if they're more than willing to do that.
Fine.
We'll spread it out over the year. So again, not everybody's here on the same workshop, but we would love that to happen. And if you're willing to do that time,
not being not having the invitation extended.
it'll be extended.
Okay, that sounds great.
We would love for that to happen.
One thing I do want to say in closing is thank you for keeping that farmers market going through COVID. That was vital to this town, and keep not only for people going to get their groceries, but to keep those small business farmers going. And with that, I will close and I will say, Linda, I'm going to miss you.
I think
Thank
that
you.
sentiment goes for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, and thank you for all you do, and we'll see what we can do to help you out with some of these items.
You have to disconnect. Hold on.
Sean will disconnect you.
Thank you.
Brooke, do we have Parks and Recs here? Okay. If not, we can jump into one of our department head. No? Then we can go ahead and jump into the department head reports. First one, if we're going to follow the list, is Linda.
So the project that was supposed to be the project of the year has turned into the project of 18 months, of course, and that's the comprehensive plan. But the comprehensive plan is, the final bill has been paid. We came in at budget. We were fine there. We are anticipating, probably by the end of next week, a draft. We've had one draft, had comments back. This is the next draft in, but I'm pretty certain that we will be could be moving to the Planning Commission in May to look for their approval. And of course, the way that goes is then to come to you for adoption also. We had hoped that we were going to do a better job this time around on demographics. With things falling as they have, we had always done our comp plan in the 9-year, and this year we were going to be able to do it in the 0-year, i.e. 2020. But then census data is late coming out, and so that didn't work out as well as we had hoped for it. But I think you'll see a comprehensive plan. I've had some other folks in the community, some other planners, already look at the document, and we're all very excited about the readability of this document. And it is with the help of
it's very forward-thinking. I think you're going to find a lot of global issues being talked about on our scale, i.e. climate change, sea level rise, sustainability, resiliency, those kinds of issues that are being talked about on, of course, a world level, but have just as much relevance here to us in the town. So that's what that is going to, that's the timeline on that. We expect that to be coming very soon. And I'd be glad to answer any questions about that. We did extend, perhaps you were aware that we had put the survey out because of COVID.
Charrettes. We put the survey out virtually. The technical committee and the consultant, all of us were a bit disappointed in the response that we got. And so we re-released that, did more of a PR effort, getting word out. And I think that we did, it is always disappointing, the amount of public input that you get back with one of these efforts, whenever it could be, so valuable. But we had as much online participation as we would have in a charrette. 120, 150 people in a room would be something that was sort of the way things have been previously. So that's the comprehensive plan. It is the big story of the year for the planning department. I could go into building. We have this as two different areas on the agenda, but really, if you'd like to, I could talk a little bit about our building statistics at this point and the way construction. It kind of makes sense. Residential has been the name of our game. We're breaking all kinds of records with single-family residential. as well as multifamily residential. And I'm sure all of you have looked at the reports month by month as we've sent them out to you and understand there is a dearth of commercial activity. New commercial construction has been flat. We've had some upfits, and that's good. Some other areas that are very interesting with regard to statistics is the downtown building, south of 16th Street. You know, we're entertaining more permits than ever in the downtown area. And so that's encouraging. That's, you know, that's those codes that you've invested in all the way back to the overlay district code, and then the new Port Royal code. They're working, and those statistics show that they're working. People are taking us up on the opportunity of increasing the vibrancy of our downtown. Blank places are getting filled in that had stood empty for literally decades. So I think that that's encouraging to see those kinds of movements and that kind of infill happening. Annexation has kind of slowed down, but nonetheless, we've had tens of acres annexed in 2020, with the one at Palomino Drive, at the end of Palomino Drive there. Matter of fact, I've received an email yesterday. They're ready. They're starting their plans. It will be single-family residential, but we're going to be looking at that at a staff level very soon. I think that's all I have to share with you. I'll be glad to answer any questions or maybe some concerns that you've had.
Council.
Oh, I think you've done a great job, Linda.
The one question that I start thinking, and you highlighted this, you know, thinking about the south of 16th Street, is does your office feel like they have a good handle on how many vacant properties are left? And how much more, say, REUs, how many more units could be in that residential zone through there?
Okay. We don't. We've never. We use Beaufort County GIS services. They're our partners for that kind of analysis, and I have never reached out to them. It's a bit slippery in understanding. You know, I will have someone interested in real estate come into the office and say, how many lots can I get there? When the real question is probably, how many lots are marketable there? Just because there's an allowance doesn't mean that's the way it's going to end up at the end of the day. And so consequently, yes, we could go down the street and divide it all up, you know, get a frontage number and divide it by 30 and say, there's our opportunity.
That's not realistic.
And that's what I think statistically would be the easy thing. A little more in-depth study, we probably could come up with a number for you as to what is the potential. It would be interesting.
Right. I thought it would be interesting to know. You know. I think we're seeing, not that we follow, you know, we look at it, not that we have any control over market price, but I think we're seeing price is a reflective of what's left available.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, certainly we're seeing that and hearing that in the community about, you know, what's left available to still build the new structure. And I think we're gonna, my thought is over the next couple of years that we're gonna see a lot more renovation of existing buildings than, because there's not a lot of way to build a new anymore. But people are gonna buy and turn properties into what they still want here in Port Royal and are building new right now, but doing that through renovations.
And I see the same thing. I would observe the same thing. Many folks tell me that, it goes quickly. When something comes up for sale, it's not there very long. And those opportunities, and people scout them out and look for them. Yeah.
Jerry made a statement earlier this morning, and it's here on one of the many post-its up there about our concern about being the apartment complex mecca. I don't know if that's the right word you use, but you're right.
That's
And-
right.
And our concern of changing zoning to allow them to be built and being cautious about that. And from, you're 22 years now sitting in that planning director, what would be the final guidance you would give us on those type of
On
things?
that sort of
On
thing?
that subject of that, I think, you can look back now and wonder, should we have done things different, and it's always nice to maybe, what would be our guidance on moving forward?
Well, I think, very early, probably 10, 15 years ago, I purchased a book, and it's still on the shelf over there, about multifamily development, and how the face of multifamily was changing in America. How people felt about multifamily development, how the desirability of multifamily was different than it was, let's say, in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And and what that document, what that book taught me, and of course it was published by the industry, but nonetheless, I think it was true that multifamily is a desirable product. The demographic for multifamily is definitely us. Any one of us, any one of the cohorts represented here. There will be a subset that wants to live in multifamily, and so, which is a change. As I said, that's a change in attitude from 60s, 70s, and 80s. So we have that, and perhaps we are fortunate enough to be the industry is interested in us. And when you look at what we've got, we're getting multifamily in some pretty valuable places geographically. We've always known at the water's edge is a more valuable piece of real estate, and we've had multifamily developers who have taken advantage of that. So there is that there. We have codes that we really do need to let our code work the way it was written. It was calibrated very well, and to that I mean that multifamily can be placed into a neighborhood, into a neighborhood fabric where it can fit comfortably in there, or it could go in there and be overpowering. And that is what I think our code does. This latest round of coding, both with the city of Beaufort and town of Port Royal and Beaufort County, with the form-based code that was adopted in 2014, they helped us manage that very issue, that multifamily has to be of a mass and scale that reflects the place that it's at. And so I think you're right. I think we have to be careful not to upset that. Now, did we get it right in every purple spot on our zoning map? Maybe not. You know, that was a big effort. That was a whole town-wide effort. Did the little corners of the world perhaps slip past us that we didn't perhaps hit the target? That's always what a code does. You know, that whenever you do it on a mass scale like that, there'll be tweaks along the way. But look at all sides of it, I think, before any long-lasting decisions are made.
Thank you for that. And I think you're right, the geographics of that, and I know we've had conversations about what should stay or what should be allowed multifamily and what should stay, you know, highway commercial, because that's really the change that has to be made, the one down zone to allow that to happen. But then in my mind, I wonder, some of these multifamilies that were built on the water's edge, as you described it, is that a better use than having a big box store where the back of the store and the loading dock is facing the water's edge? That's the piece that I wonder in my mind that we're not highlighting and taking advantage. But then some of these interior ones that we've gone from highway commercial down possibly to one to multifamily, that's where I wonder if the mistakes are made and how we need to be cautious about that. So I appreciate, you know, your statements on that and your guidance as we move forward, and I know the new planning director will have some guidance for us as well. But, you know, it's nice to look back, and I look all the way back to Paris Avenue when we put the landmark building, as I still like to call it, which was, anybody that's been around long enough, and I know some of us have been around that long, when that building was first built in the middle of the road, as they described it, or even this building was placed in what they called the middle of the road. And are you all crazy? But we look back at that now and say it's always belonged. And so your career has helped us get to this point, and I really appreciate your guidance as we move forward. Council, questions about planning, where we're going, the conversation we've just had, which we know will come back before us again. That subject will be back, and we'll have to wrestle with that again.
No, again, along with what he said, is there any advice you would give us from your perspective as a whole? You know, from you sitting there, I'm on my way out, but hey, council, keep an eye on this, or think about this, or what are your feelings on? Could you give us any advice in that direction?
I think you've teed it up very well for the next decade. I really trust the codes. I really trust the cohesion and the spirit of togetherness that happens with this community and your sister communities, the Beaufort County and the city of Beaufort. I think that all of you being on the same page and showing such cooperation is the future, the guarantee of a bright future. You know, I see it right now. You're going to see in April, you're going to see the Phil ordinance. You're going to see the coastal resilience overlay. So those are cooperative efforts. You've directed through Van to me that staff participates in these efforts. Whenever these meetings are held, we're at the table. You're at the table, and you know what's going on by virtue of that. And I think that definitely keeping that running is important. Keeping the emphasis on community and form and fitting it into the right place is important. Almost every, honestly, every line in the Port Royal Code has a reason that it's there. And, you know, sometimes you're going to have to reach out to a consultant to understand why it's there. You know, it might take a conversation with an architect to understand, or a landscape architect to understand why we do this and why this is important. Have that conversation. If it needs to fall to the wayside, amend the ordinance, amend the idea, and move on. But be sure to understand why it was there in the first place. We see that a lot. Van and I see that a lot whenever we're talking about things that, you know, just history. How did that happen? What was? Yeah, I remember. That's why we did that. And and thus build upon it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you always for your can-do attitude towards things, towards people who walked in who had the right projects for this town, that fit into this town, and being willing to work with them and find the code, and bringing it before all councils, past, and I wish I could say future, but bringing it before all councils to say, we've made a mistake, we need to correct something here, and making that happen instead of just not dealing with an item. And you've been great for us for all these years, for me on the planning commission for all those years, and thank you for that. And we appreciate your comments today.
Thank you.
Anybody else? And Greg, is Parks and Rec still no-go? Then we are going to move on because these people have committed a day. And Chief, fire.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mary Beth, what's the record for shortest department head presentation, aside from not showing up?
At least 10.
10 minutes? All right.
Well, does
You
that
gonna
count
beat
how
it
much
today?
questions we ask you at the end?
That's on you. The fire department's had a bang-up year. I've presented you all with our annual report. At the conclusion of your retreat, as we did Beaufort's on Monday and Tuesday, they will be published to the website. And the fire department website links through your webpage as well. Some highlights that are inside of this report: we were in receipt of 2 grants over the term of the year. Excuse me. That totaled almost $300,000. One of those grants paid for some medical cardiac monitoring equipment to the tune of about $30,000, and the other one sent 24 people to advanced emergency medical training, advanced EMT training. On page 1, you see our call volume over the past 10 years. The rise from 2015 through 2018 was the normal expected recovery and people being in our area and our economy starting to hit all cylinders. And then from 2017 to today does pretty squarely represent the creation of the 4th fire station on Highway 170, and that accounts for about 800 to 900 calls additional for the department in any given year. I'll take you briefly through the chief's notes on page 2, and there really was, a very concentrated effort on COVID response for the fire department this year. At this time last year, we were about to have to completely retool the way that we did business and interacted with our community. And what I'll leave you with is that the men and women of the department did an excellent job. You can read through these bullet points on your own and kind of understand what we went through. We had to retool training, we had to retool response, and we had to really do it from a perspective of keeping our staff, which really, although is not small, could go away very quickly if they started to get sick. And we have to always be ready for the next call. And they did it. They did a great job. And as we started to ease into a normalcy of the COVID environment in the fall, in September, October, and November, I really want to tell you that the men and the women of the department came together in force to see those 24 people travel to Savannah, which is where we ended up doing our class, and backfilling those people's time while they were off shift to get those people through that advanced EMT class in about 6 weeks, which was an unbelievable effort on behalf of everybody. It tested the mettle of our department, and they rose to the occasion and got it done. A lot of data, a lot of information to consume on the interior pages of this report, everything from some personnel changes through retirements and promotions to fire marshal activities to our fleet and dollars spent on our fleet. But in the interest of keeping this moving, I'll take you to page 13. And this is in direct response to an initiative that was born from the city's strategic planning process. And I know that last year we had a should do on item number 2 up there on the board for the town. So the department fell squarely in the strategic planning process of both municipalities. But one of the things that the city asked us to do, and we really did a good job in my mind with collaborating with Sean and through the town and social media, was put more information and more data out there on social media. So this is a representation of the weekly updates that we do, responding to information on call volume, response times, and what we're doing on a weekly basis with the fire department. We have,
I'm waiting, this thing is delayed.
it's okay. We're over 10,000 well over 10,000 users of our social media, and most of the information that we put out is consumed significantly. The next page I'd like to take you to is page 14, and this is probably the nuts and bolts of what I want to talk to you about today. I'm just going to take you through this. This is a suggested strategic objective for the City of Beaufort and Town of Port Royal, and we were asked to do this for the city as well and put forward any changes we wanted to see for the municipality. The City of Beaufort and Town of Port Royal, as you know very well, are being asked by Beaufort County to participate in a development impact fee for emergency medical services. I'll take you through these bullet points. The municipal administration, Van and Bill Prokop, have continuously offered the county space in the 4 existing fire stations to house ambulances and partner. Those requests have been denied or not taken advantage of. Municipal administration have requested a joint fire and EMS station at the Shanklin Road facility that was recently opened. That request was also denied. Beaufort County is considering developing or redeveloping more EMS-only stations within the jurisdiction of the city and town. I will note that the town of Hilton Head has not been asked to participate in the development impact fees for EMS because their fire department provides both fire and EMS transport services. So what I'm asking both councils to consider as we move into next year is having an objective of a feasibility study and implementation plan for adding transport EMS services to the suite of services for the City of Beaufort and Town of Port Royal through a fire medical department. Obviously, this is going to ask and raise and ponder a lot of questions and a lot of discussion. This is me being a farmer and planting a seed. All those questions are going to come. We'll do our very best to answer and work with our partners to determine what those all the questions will come, and we will work to determine what the answers would be. And really, I have no preconceived notion if this is the right path or not, but I believe that not asking the question is probably more detrimental at this time than charging forward with what we've always done in the past. So on that, I will entertain any other questions. If you follow the rest of this report when you review it, it will take you through a few key goals that are separate from that objective that the department will continue to work on, and it will also take you through some opportunities in capital with a nod to the budget process that's forthcoming. I do not expect much change in where we've landed for the last 3 to 4 years. You'll recall in advance of COVID, we retracted to budget numbers that really reflected about the 2019 level, and we have been given that charge again by the city to maintain those levels. And we're working through that process right now. We'll be before you, obviously, in the next coming months to discuss budget. Any questions?
Council, questions for Chief?
Chief, I think that's great, and I like your recommendation of EMS in the firehouse. I mean, it's all over Beaufort County now. Why would you not want to save tax dollars? You already have a building. Why would you not want to put an EMS truck in it? Why are we going to go out and buy that and add another tax to the people, the taxpayers of Beaufort County? So I agree with you.
Yeah, I think you're right on, and I think the best way to do this is, it's been a while, it's been a year since we've been able to do a joint meeting with our neighbors, the city, and I think this is a prime objective that maybe spurs that to see if we can't figure out a way to get a joint meeting together, because I think we have to be on the same page at this one. So I think let's take that as a task forward to see if we can't get the councils together and talk this one out and say, let's move forward with this objective, or make a decision not to, but let's do that. The other one, I can only assume that hearing Linda's report, that you would say that the impact fee is producing the way you would have hoped?
So what we had last year in the budget was the purchase of 2 fire apparatus. The first one has been completed and is being built as we speak. It will be here in the August-September timeframe. There was a second vehicle approved, and we have started to see the collection of impact fees that will buoy that purchase. And we are waiting for both the city and the town to come a little bit more aligned with those collections. The city has, in a different capacity, has some commercial projects that are being contemplated and about to go to permitting now that will change that landscape significantly. And as Linda said, the town is well on their way to the collection of those fees on the residential development that's been happening. So really, while that's a that's an immediate need that you will see when you review the expense of our maintenance and corrective maintenance over the last year. We're being cognizant to make sure that the cash flows are in place prior to committing both municipalities to that second purchase.
Thank you very much.
But it's been working wonderfully, yes, is the point I will make.
Very good. Council, anything else?
No, sir.
Keep up the good work.
Was that under 10?
You did good, Chief.
I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The denials, at what level were those denials made?
Well, administration, honestly, with the work that Mr. Prokop has done, but I do wholeheartedly know that it has percolated in the political environment as well.
May I ask what level was there any speculation on the basis as to why?
I don't want to speculate on why they made their decision one way or the
Okay.
other, no, sir.
Okay. I will
It'd be
put
my opinion, and I don't think that that's relevant in the question.
Okay.
Well, thank you and your crew for what you've done and this year and staying under the COVID-19 and protecting the citizens and themselves. And y'all done a great job, and thank you. And please pass that to your troops.
Thank you, I will. And thank you for your continued support. You know, I really overshadowed it today, but the reality of it is this relationship, intergovernmentally speaking, is one of the finest ones I know of, and have ever been very privileged to be a part of it. It's 20 years this year that I've been a part of a joint fire department between the city of Beaufort and town of Port Royal, and nobody can argue that it hasn't worked.
It's the model that others should pick up real fast. It's
Should.
the model. And if people were waiting for a long-term result, like you just said, 20 years. Just make sure that I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but there is no, EMS does not operate under any type of public service district or anything like that. They're strictly a county agency.
Our county department, yes,
There's
sir.
nothing that says they get to operate in these areas. That'll come out in that joint meeting, but I just wanted to make sure that that was absolutely the truth in my head here.
Correct. I think the roots of your question are, do you have the authority as the municipality to provide an EMS transport service? And the question is answered as yes, you do.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. So, Jeff, I'm gonna ask you to move over because I can't see you through the monitors. Thank you very much for that, Jeff.
I think Jeff will be quicker than Reese.
Yeah. You want to put a couple bucks?
I think Jeff will be quicker, they're more brief and more direct than Reese. He'll be to the point.
Exactly.
He'll be to the point.
Yeah, everybody has to go longer than Reese. There you go.
Well, it hasn't been too good of a month for Public Works. I got one of my CDL drivers has been out for a
Jeff,
month.
having a hard time hearing you.
Sorry.
Maybe Chief wants to sit to keep the 6-foot separation, but sorry, it was a little tough there.
I got one of my CDL drivers has been out for about a month that with back problems. He's doing physical therapy right now. I've been, myself and another guy, whenever he gets a chance, have been, taking the stuff to the landfill. Plus, we've been running instead of bringing the stuff to the shop, we just take it straight to the landfill now. And, but I got a truck in Savannah right now getting work done for the transmission, one of the flatbeds we use to haul the stuff off. It should be back next week, I'm hoping. And I was telling Van this morning, I took me and another guy, it was just me and him here yesterday because I had a couple other guys that were out. Went to the landfill about 10 o'clock and something popped up and hit the radiator on the knuckle boom. So had to get Interstate to come out there and get us, and they towed it to Savannah. So right now I'm down to one flatbed and about 3 men.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the way it's been going for me.
Talk to us a little bit more. I mean, you made the statement about one employee being out really has affected your ability to do the job. I mean,
Yeah.
what is your thoughts? I mean, should we be looking, as
Yeah.
the town is growing, is it time for your staff to
Oh,
be
yeah.
increased?
Yeah, need more CDL drivers.
You need more
definitely.
CDL drivers.
Right.
And not just getting somebody currently on staff to a CDL, but actually an extra body that has a qualification of a CDL.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because he had that, all of that area cleaned out. But when you see what happens when he's got somebody down, you can see how it accumulates
Yeah.
very quickly.
Because, I mean, I can run the trucks, but I don't have time to,
Yeah.
you know.
We don't want you to. You've got other things to do.
Linda's got a CDL. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. She can come down there.
I just turned mine in, so I can't do it anymore. I just handed mine
Can I
in.
volunteer?
I'm done. I handed it in. I didn't.
have been major mayor points.
Right. I didn't want the responsibility. I turned my CDL in.
Other than that, you might want to look at getting another flatbed here pretty soon. Because the one we got is a 93 white GMC, and it's got 700 and something thousand miles on it right now. So, I mean, something to look at.
What size is that truck? That's the F800s?
No. It's a white GMC Volvo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the big one.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've talked to Van putting it in the budget?
Not yet.
He just sprung that on me today.
I think we all just talked to Van about looking at the budget on that one. I think we all just did.
1993?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely got our money.
We got our money.
We got our money out of that one.
Yeah, we got our money's worth out of that.
Wow.
Runs good though.
And Jeff, last year, there was some conversations last year about your buildings, and there was some upfit that needed, and I know we had to back off on things
Yeah.
with COVID in that way, but have you been, I think that the budget might be showing that we can move forward on some of those things, or we need to be looking again for next year? Because I know he doesn't ask unless we ask him.
Yeah, this is true. I think we'll get into it. I mean, we're going to look at finance a little bit, but it's about what you guys want to spend money on.
Okay, because I think you had some roof leaks that we were concerned
Yeah.
about, if I remember correctly, and so they still have not been addressed in that way. Okay,
That's it.
thank you. I wanted to make sure I remembered that in my notes properly. Council, questions for Joe?
With some of the challenges that Jeff just presented, you would not have known, because I see his team out there, and they have been very responsive. I drive through neighborhoods, and I see things, and within a matter of days, I mean, it's already been addressed. And so, as I said, he presented these challenges that faces him on a daily basis, but from I would say the public eye, or the natural eye, you would not have known, because they've not skipped a beat. And so I commend you and your team
Thank
for
you.
the outstanding job that you all do.
Appreciate it.
Great job.
Is the call-in pickup process still working really good? You like that, for the
That's-
bulk pickup?
Yeah, that's fine.
That works. that
Call in
works
for the
good
bulk.
you.
Yeah, it works pretty good.
All right,
One year we're gonna come in here and Jeff's gonna ask for the moon, and
that's fine.
we're gonna all fall out.
Right.
But y'all do a great job, and you certainly help make this town look pretty.
Thank you.
Thank your team.
All right, everybody good?
You're good. Thank you, Jeff.
All right.
Sorry, Reese, to beat you.
As it should be, y'all were right.
All right,
We're in judicial.
how are we doing judicial?
I have her report, and for the most part, there are a couple of departments that remain pretty steady. Obviously, what we faced in the past year was the suspension of court, which led to some backlogs. But however, because we've had some stops and starts, the volumes have pretty much remained the same. I think what we did see with the addition of the traffic grant, that the volume for one officer dictated that we add another court date specifically. But in terms of operations, despite the COVID setbacks and the trials and tribulations, I think it's going pretty well. I asked her, specifically if she anticipated any significant changes from the current fiscal year to the next fiscal year, and she did not. The one thing that obviously that we, thought we were going to address was the costs allocated for the public defender's office, and I asked her to track the volumes relative to the other participants, and we are pretty insignificant relative to the volume for the other people participating in the cost share. So we may ask that be evaluated, although that's nothing too lucrative that's going to throw us off if we maintain the same allocation. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. The judge is doing fine, volumes are fine. playing catch-up because of the suspension of court, and that's out of our hands.
Right.
That's handed down from actually the state Supreme Court, and the administrative portion of that.
And my next comment has nothing to do with dissatisfaction from our judge, but will we have to be looking at reappointment in 21?
We appoint the judge every year.
It's a yearly?
I think so.
Is it yearly?
We'll double check that.
Yeah,
'Cause I know I wasn't certain on that, okay. Yeah, yeah,
I think it might be 2.
yeah, that's, okay.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else in here.
Because I think it's on the cycle because he usually gets sworn in. I think
Okay.
Yeah, and we experimented with all sorts of different protocols for moving people in and out. She networked with the other court systems to try to figure out how they were doing it, and I think we're pretty comfortable with how it's being handled. Which one is that?
Very good.
Okay. I got you.
Police department, including codes. That's the way it's worded, so I said it.
Do we forget buildings?
We skipped building.
I think I need to change it. There we go.
She did roll
Oh,
it
you did
together.
together,
Thanks.
okay.
I did include our activity report for 2020. This is just a late addition that I did yesterday. A few things came up in our window. Do you guys have our year-end report?
Do you want that right first?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. There we go.
And yes, I will echo what the fire chief said. It was trying times with COVID, but we did manage to get through it, and everybody was, for the most part, safe and secure. We did have at one time 3 officers out, and that lasted 2 weeks. But we pulled through and we managed it. The one officer, he had a long recovery. He was out for a little over a month, but he's back at work and doing well. Traffic safety grants, working out pretty good. We had some equipment issues, but we've worked through it. Hopefully we'll see his new vehicle on the road here within a few weeks. You'll see the number of the citations that he's issued. And he does a rotating shift, so some days you might not see him for the next week because he's working nights. And he'll alternate those weekends as well. Because it is one officer, so he's trying to hit both sides of the traffic flow. But if there's targeted areas, please let me know, and I will let him know. School resource officer's back at school. He's doing great. No issues there. We do have another year for him that Beaufort County supported, which is good. You'll see our calls for service and our codes violations. I think Kangaroo's doing a great job just by the appearance of the town, and I know that's one of the bullet points as well. If you look at the 100 door hangers that Kangaroo did, actually 33 of those were from officers that's noticed violations, and Kangaroo actually followed up on them, but we've got the officers doing door hangers as well. And please, any areas of concern, just let me know. Trainings went off without a hitch. Major Weckerman's done a great job keeping it virtual. We just recently have been allowed back in some of the classrooms and training, so we've got some people going to Charleston to do some advanced first aid for the day, so that's a good class. We'll finish up with the first aid training. Now, if you'll project that second page, I'm going to get into the body-worn cameras on that second page that actually came about yesterday. I think the town's going to be safe from having to spend out some money because the state issued a grant for new body-worn cameras, and we submitted a grant last week in the amount of $20,000. The systems that we have now, the manufacturer is not supporting the software anymore. And we're on the 3rd generation of the body-worn camera, and they're not going to replace them. We have to buy new ones. And we're 3 down right now, but we also have backups. So we're good. We're good for now, but fingers crossed we get this new grant. And it's more than likely we will. Yesterday we submitted a grant for a vehicle for the SR officer because his vehicle's just about ready to quit. Our match is 10%, which would be $5,500, $5,525. And we should know something within a few months on that. So that's a
That's the school resource-
$55,000 grant.
That's the school resource officer, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That vehicle we obtained from Beaufort County. It has 170,000 miles on it, and the transmission's just about ready to go. But we still drive it. It's just to and from.
Is that being partially funded by the school district?
It is not.
No.
No, sir. They support the officer, and that's it. Just remember, as the town grows, as we all said, we need to think about officers being added to. As far as our staffing, we should be fully staffed by within a couple of weeks. We need 1. We have 2 candidates, so we'll make our decision probably next week. Then we have 1 officer in the academy. He should be out in 7 weeks. Sorry about that, I just realized. So we'll have 1 more to send up there. So hopefully in the next 6 months we'll be good, if we don't have any rotations.
And with that number, you think you're okay for the next budget year, or are you thinking you're going to need to ask for an additional officer in the next budget cycle?
If we can get back to some sort of normalcy and we're not having people out sick, we would be okay. It's not ideal,
Okay.
but we would run into more overtime and taxing the officers. So that's just something we need to look at. It's always trying. Vehicle rotations, we're just trying to replace those Dodges. And I think we have 4 left that we need to get rid of. Enterprise is doing a good job. Our total maintenance this year, out of an $18,000 budget, we're at $15,000 spent. And 90% of that are the Dodges, to try to keep them on the road.
Or those
Every
Durangos?
time we have a Dodge issue, it's $700 to $1,000, $1,500, because it's major things, and they're all not covered under warranty anymore. They're 6 years old-ish. And that's it. I'll take your questions. But thank you for another great year.
Are we currently providing an SRO for bridges?
We are not.
We're not, and how will that impact your service if and when that time comes?
We are, as far as my knowledge, they're K through 12 right
Yes.
now. And
Not yet, they're still under construction.
they've been asking me for the last few years, but we just financially we can't support it. It's for the officer, vehicle, and everything. You're looking at $120,000.
Wow.
And we've had conversation, and they realize that. I believe she's taken it back to her board about a month ago. I haven't heard back from her. But there is going to be the state is going to open up some grants again in a few weeks, and we're going to put in for another SRO. So that's in the process of being worked on. As soon as they announce it, we're going to apply for it.
Now, I know that we provide traffic patrol, or I guess over there in front of Riverview,
Yes, sir.
but we're not providing an SRO in there, are we?
We are not.
Okay, we're just helping with the traffic congestion. and,
Beaufort
and
Sheriff's
safety.
Office, they periodically go in and out just like we do.
Mhm.
We have a couple officers that visits the school, especially if we don't see the deputy there. They stay in there, an hour, two, whatever time allows. And we pretty much try to pick up the slack. But calls dictate to us, you know, how long we can stand there. Kangaroo he still dabbles in the SRO and loves to fill in when Colson's not at
He's
Port
all
Royal,
over.
so
Yeah.
he chomps at the bit to go into the school. And Colson had some either training or sick, and Kangaroo had to fill in for a day, so he enjoyed going into the school. So we'll definitely cover Port Royal if Colson's not in there.
Well, I commend you and your team as well.
Thank
for
you.
the job that you're doing.
Chief, as long as I've been sitting on this council, I'm trying to think, for the first time that I've ever heard you say, I think it's time we need an officer. I mean, Chief Cadian, we used to have to pull it out of him, Chief Smith, but.
It's taxing. I mean, if
It's-
you look at our overtime still,
Yeah.
you'll see.
Oh, I am 100% in agreement, because when you balance your overtime and your wear and tear on your officer, you really should have somebody, so you don't have to do that.
And
But it's
I'll-
just unusual to hear you for once in a lifetime say, hey, I need somebody. I mean, I think that's great, and I think you probably do.
Yes, ma'am.
One, possibly two. But your guys do a great job. We appreciate everything they've done and all. And
Thank you.
Dan, I'm sure will make sure he looks at those numbers and the overtime rate and the wear and tear on the officers, because people don't realize that overtime is not just the money, it's the officers that are having to replace the other ones, and then they get burned out. So
Absolutely.
if we have that a lot, we probably need to look at putting in another officer. But thank you, and thank your troops for their jobs.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, the only thing that saved us this year from the officers not being burnt out and they're actually working overtime is our special events, those after action reports I send you
Yeah.
every month. If you notice, we'll have 2 or 3 months and you won't see one of those. That's because our special events have been like 0. We had 4 this past year.
Right.
So, and some of those special events, they'll take up to 4 or 5 officers. So, and you're putting them on that detail for 4 to 6 hours, and you're actually having to ask an officer to work or fill in a shift for overtime, they might not want to do it.
Right. Good, thank
Well,
you.
appreciate you highlighting that again, because as we start bringing our special events back, we need to be, that's
Cognizant.
more of a reason to see what we can do about that extra FTE in your department.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And one of the departments we didn't touch was building, and obviously we're transitioning. New person is starting in April with a commercial and residential background, also with a degree in architecture, and also experience in site plan and some other things. So we're excited about that. And I just wanted to ask Linda, you know, y'all do get the monthly report on activity that we're undertaking. Have there been any lag times in review by staff or outside contractors where we're getting things out too slow?
No, that has been, we've got that down. I don't hear any comments along those lines. I'm not sure if you know, but just now, with the lack of a building official here in this building, we're sending our residential permit review up to the city of Beaufort, which staff is doing that for us. And they have software, and I've suggested to Dan that we continue to send plan review, at least for the time being, up there. It is so efficient. They scan those plans into a program. That program gives a report back. Now, it does have to be operated by a person. They have to. Sorry about that.
Or you get Sean a ruler, you can pop this on the hand.
You know, a building technician does look at that report
And make certain that everything was picked up as it went through there, and that the software interpreted the plans as they were intended to be interpreted. but it's quite efficient. It gives feedback to the contractor. He gets that report right back. You know, whenever he gets his copy of the plans back and his permit, he gets a copy of the report from the code review. So that it just takes all the guesswork, it takes all the emotion. It has been a very good process that it's reviewed. This is what the code says. This isn't I like or some statement like that. It's very straightforward. This is the code, and it has gone very smoothly.
And the codes are identical between the two cities?
Yes, well,
So- because it's-
we all use the international
Right,
code.
and
Yeah,
we're all,
the
we're
ICC.
all up at the same level of an
Yes,
international, but
yes.
so that there's
That's
no-
dictated, by the way, by the state.
Okay,
So,
I
yeah,
needed to
we
be-
stay on track.
Interesting.
And
I'm
it's-
sure there's a cost associated with that, but the efficiency.
It's an hourly, they charge us an hourly rate to review our plans, and it's very competitive. I mean, it's probably, a house plan is less than a half an hour.
Certainly, we'll
And
look.
no inspections are backed up. We're all up to date,
No,
up to speed.
inspections go smoothly.
Yeah.
But we are going to bring them back in-house with the new,
The inspections will come back in-house.
but the
Yeah,
plan
it's-
review
it's
piece
our-
is the piece you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. And small permits, don't forget that, you know, there still needs to be an authority that says, yes, this permit application for several $1,000s to re-roof a home we have to know that someone has to review that a little bit. And we have to be certain that licenses are in place and that it's on our radar, et cetera. So those kinds of reviews, additions, small projects, patios, things like that, they can come through here, through the new building official that we're going to be hiring here. But those big new construction packages, it would be my recommendation to continue to send them up to the city. And I've talked with those folks, and they have the capacity to help us out with those. We are not straining our relationship there either.
All right, I think that, then I assume you left finance off because we're going to be having a budget workshop very shortly?
Yeah, Chris just gave you an overview, and I think the biggest takeaway from that is to kind of evaluate where we are in the current fiscal year compared to last year, and how the impact of whatever was going on at the county with property taxes has impacted us, at least from a timing perspective on collections. But you know, one of the things you note is we're about $100,000 further ahead in building permits than we were the previous year, and we have no lag from a personnel standpoint on review or inspections, and that is plugging away quite well. But you know, if you looked at the numbers completely, they're tracking about as we would expect, and then we, like you said, we'll dig deeper during the budget workshops. So, but we did not need, despite what was going on, the tax anticipation note that we thought might be necessary because we had the fund balance in place to take care of that.
The hospitality tax one is the one that jumped out at me. I
Yeah.
mean,
And those are the sorts of things that, you know, as Charlie talked about, the local funding via the stimulus, what do you want to call it, the
Acts.
COVID bill, will help us address. And that also could be attributable to the lack of backup on hospitality, but maybe some more so on accommodations.
On accommodations.
How we don't really know what the state is collecting. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right, next section is topic for discussions. And I guess we'll go back to the top and do them alphabetical from here to work our way through. Does anybody need a break before we get started on those, or move right along? Moving along. All right, first one is sewer expansion. We've had some conversations on that already. Does anybody have anything else they want to add, or how you want to move this forward?
Do we, department heads need to stay, or can they be
Department heads can,
dismissed, or?
love to keep them here all
Okay,
afternoon.
just checking.
Let them go.
I don't know what their plans are.
Hold on a second.
They might want to spend Saturday with us.
Y'all might just have that one question that
There you go.
Okay, then we'll keep going.
we can serve up.
That's good.
Reese knows he has yard work when he goes home. See?
All right, he leaves here, he's got to go do yard work. There's a honeydew lives waiting for someone. Anything else on sewer expansion? Or is everybody comfortable with what we discussed?
We're good.
With reaching out to the JWSA?
And I just want to address that a little bit. I ran into BJWSA at the cybersecurity tabletop exercise, and the conversation we had was getting on more regular quarterly interfaces with them about ongoing anything that's sewer or water related in the town, just to keep us up to speed with projects that we may be having issues with, that they may be having issues with. But I do like the idea of really addressing capital.
Yep.
I think that's pretty necessary.
Yeah, I mean, they came in, and it's getting close to another quarter, and they gave us the update on the galvanized water main replacement, and we agreed at that point during that meeting that they would come in quarterly and kind of give us some, maybe it's time to reach back out, but also let's find out what their CIP schedule is and make sure we get this project submitted to them. Spanish Moss Trail.
My only, well, I'll open it by saying this, if we need to get ahead of something, if we've got a couple of things we need to consider, a couple of routes to take or whatever, and we need to go to the county and say, hey, this is what we'd like to see, then I say we go ahead and come up with what that is and let somebody know, versus them coming up with something and then them thinking, well, this is what we need to do in Port Royal, and then us not having a say-so in it.
I think the time's come to get the Friends to present to council what they think is the right thing to do, and then for us to decide whether we support that or go a
Right.
different route.
I agree.
But I think it's time to officially ask the Friends to come in and tell us where they are with coming through Port Royal and how they believe the best way to come through Port Royal is, and then we decide if it meets our goals and needs. So we'll take that as a takeaway from here.
And just, when we evaluate, how we get the Spanish Moss Trail across, we all know the big player in the room is the SCDOT. And typically,
Sean gave me the evil eye. Any signalization has to be warranted, and a warrant study has to be done. And typically, you have to get the pedestrian traffic or the actual traffic there in order to evaluate it and then install whatever sort of signal is going to be there. So if we are contemplating crossing at the rail corridor, more than likely, you're going to have to construct something that allows them to get across and then figure out the volumes to see if it will then justify the installation of a hog signal or a traditional signal. Now, we know long-term, if we build that parallel road, it's there. But even then, and this is a scenario that, this is the issue we have with DOT sometimes. And so if we know something's going on 19th Street and we know something's going on the other side, that doesn't mean a signal's built.
Right.
That means you're building something, and if the traffic comes, a signal can be installed. So that's part of the process we're going to have to figure out.
I agree with you, and then I have to say that I disagree, because somehow or other, and I was on the Friends at the time, we got Highway 170 hawk signal put in during initial construction.
I've been informed that was a different traffic engineer.
Okay, well,
So that was
but that will be reminded many, many times.
Oh, and I did that yesterday.
And through the official, and if we need to do the political, we'll do the political route as well. But Highway 170 hawk signal got built in the city of Beaufort at the same time the trail was built. We did not wait. And we're, sorry, Port Royal's gonna ask for the same, and we're gonna ask strong and hard. I believe if this council
we have
agrees,
just as much traffic.
if this council agrees that that's the best place for it to go.
And it was acknowledged that the traffic volume here is higher
It's
than
greater,
there.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Sure, everything's routed through Port Royal.
And
This
and you
is the
could, and you
corridor.
could, and you can look at the
Trucking
traffic.
corridor.
All your truck traffic.
Trucking.
And besides the traffic, you can look at the pedestrian counts. Right now, the Spanish Moss Trail Friends are working with, I believe it's USCB, and they've got some sort of a counter out there counting the number of people that are traveling on the trail. And that's something else we can ask Dean to update on us, to give us they do. Thank you. I heard this, Chief. It is. I heard it yesterday. You heard it yesterday. So they have something out there that's counting us. So, Darrell, I need at least 15 trips a week past this thing. I'll find out where it is.
You know what?
You and Jerry do your 15.
I'll do mine. I got mine.
You know what else should be
I
counted, and
guess
I
Kevin,
know
we're
it's
the
a
slackers
mix,
over here.
but the number of pedestrian and bicycle crossings at West Paris Avenue.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That should be counted
Right,
also.
that's what we need to do, and we gotta figure out how to get that number, and if there's any way and whatever this device is, maybe we can use it in some
I
fashion.
mean, is
Can
there any
we-
way to measure how many times that?
I don't
button
know,
is
I don't
pressed?
know if it tracks how many times the button's pushed on it. Yeah, I want, that's a good point, is the button track how many times it was engaged at the crossing? So, I mean, to me, those are the backup numbers that we can, you know,
Help to use.
in some ways, you wish you could put a counter at the end of the current Spanish Moss Trail that says, please press this if you want to cross. And get people to walk down there and just, you know, count how many people would like to hit that button and move on from there. I mean, you could easily track how many people go through Smilax in some way, because I know there's a lot of people that turn
Yes,
left
yes.
and go out through Smilax and come back, and they would all go a different route. So I agree with you, because I know the difficulties we're gonna have to, but again, precedent's been set in this community. It's a walking community. When I say community, I'm talking the larger Beaufort County. The Hawk signal went in with the construction. The Hawk signal went in at Burton Hill Road with the construction.
Yes.
Those crossings both got it at that point. The other intersections were normal pedestrian crossings in that way, but those two were different. They're not at an intersection crossing, so we just gotta keep going.
We need to get on record for what we
Okay.
feel is best for Port Royal.
I think we're hearing
Put
that.
that out there.
Staff will work with the Friends, and we'll get them before us, and then we can make some official decisions on that. Staff, agree, Chief, you agree with this, with that plan? Appreciate you digging into that. Jeff, not to give you more maintenance items, because everybody knows we will own the trail on the other side of the road, but we'll work together on that
Yeah,
aspect.
we've probably been the landscaping contract to do
Yep.
that.
All right, port development, port redevelopment, however you want to describe that, it just says, I don't know how to, it said that one, so.
Port.
I think, you know, we all realize there's been some sort of a slowdown on the residential construction. It hasn't moved forward. I know when I ask Cragos, they say they're working through it to try to get it to the next step, but it just seems to have slowed down a little bit. Anything else?
I haven't seen anything else happen, period,
Yeah.
commercial or
What about the building?
residential. Huh?
The stuff that was presented to the town in regards to the softening of that boat dock.
You know, that's the Butler building, but certainly we'll clump that together into one group. So the dry stack storage, Butler dry stack storage, where are we with that?
Yeah, well, we did receive a submission, and that's been reviewed by the town's architect and planning staff, zoning staff. What they put forward is very nice. But the message back to them was that this is a good beginning. It's a big building. We expect some more to follow. It was a good effort. It's a great addition. It fits in. It works. The shutters, the Bermuda shutters on the building. But I think that the community, the code, council, everyone had anticipated some more in that effort.
There you go.
I think we need to get them back in here and go through that deficiency letter. And I don't know when the next meeting is, and go through and say where you at on everything, show us your master plan
Give
that
us
supposedly
update.
is done.
Another update on the breach letter
Yeah.
and where's the
breach
master
letter,
plan? Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think when we talked last, One of the two things, the master plan was one, and the second was the inventory of abandoned buildings.
Right, right. Correct. I think those are the two outstanding items from the breach. And then there's the outstanding item on the dry stack, which he's running short on time now, right? Or he's beyond,
He's passed
About a
now.
year.
We had 5 years in 2017, so,
okay.
yeah. September, I think, 2017.
But you never thought it would take all 5 years, did you?
I didn't. But I tell you what, it has been an eyesore since the day Vernon Deloach and I saw that building go up down there and couldn't do anything about it, but now that it's public, we can.
I think while we're talking about the port development and what's happening in there, you know, we definitely changed the road pattern. We've opened up the 2 roads that were blocked off. I think it's been good. I think it's been beneficial. I know it looks like we added a stop sign. But I was wondering, as I go through there myself a bunch of times, to me, it seems like two-way stop probably is, you know, as you're coming out to go to the Sands Beach and as you're coming down Sands Beach Road, both of those seem to need a stop at that point. 'Cause if you're coming off Sands Beach, to be able to do that. And again, it gives us another way to slow traffic down on Sands Beach Road. It's another stop. But I'd just like staff to take a look at it. You know, you have the authority to add stop signs by what we did. And if that becomes, if you think it makes sense, chief, you chime in to take a look at that, your patrol officers, see what they think in that way. It just seems, again, you know, people are getting used to stop signs in our town because they like the walking and they like that ability, and it's already a narrow road. So,
You know, and Jeff and I have coordinated the installation of the 15-mile-per-hour signs and also getting as much of that sand off of there as we can and restriping the bike path.
right. Right. You know, I don't know what sharrows cost to put in a road, you know, to add sharrows to that road, which is the indication that cyclists are safe to share the road with cyclists. And I don't know if that road makes sense to add sharrows. I see a lot of bikes go up and down that road as well. And to add sharrows, I don't know what the costs are to put any of them down.
Yeah.
And maybe it's better to just say maybe just do share the road signs for now, and rather than adding them, because the amount of sand on that road, the way it
Just
winds and
eats it.
blows, they may not last long.
Yeah.
So maybe just a group of share the road signs on both sides might be a better way to spend some dollars in that area, on that section. So anything else on the port? So I assume boat landing is is also the Sands Beach boat landing?
Yeah, I'm not sure which one of y'all put it on the list, but it's there.
I did not.
Not,
I know that the issues with the boat landing is obviously the parking lot, the parking, the striping.
well,
and-
that first lane is always catching that sediment. I mean, you pretty much
Yeah.
can't use that first lane.
Yeah. Well, that's where we are. We're at a crossroads with the county. The county claims they do not own that boat landing.
Well, then good. Tell them to do it
They're out
to
there
us.
performing maintenance. I see them all the time.
We need to be careful about taking on something else for more maintenance without
I
a way
know,
to fund
but
this.
the problem is somebody's gonna get hurt
Jeff will
down
ask for more
there,
stuff, right?
and we're gonna end up getting in trouble. It's like I said earlier when we were doing the board over there, the tides have shifted, and that's why you're seeing all that settlement come over there in that first lane, and people they're not able to use it, but people whipping in and whipping out, that is a heavily used boat landing. And kids running in and out, cars not parking correctly. I mean, I went down there the other day and there was 3 or 4 food trucks blocking all the spots for the cars to park where, I mean, come on, are we allowing all that when they're on Friday and Saturday?
All right, well, let's, Van, do you think you can bring it to a head as far as ownership? Or do you feel like they're gonna stick behind they don't own it?
We're going to have to figure that out because we have historical information that it was owned by the county. The town never installed ramps, never added any of the boardwalk pieces. That was all funded,
By the
not
county.
by us.
Right. They built the floating dock.
And as a matter of fact, I think historically, I mean, even the causeway construction was not done by us, it was done by somebody else. And now we ended up owning Sands Beach Road now. But the boat landing question is still out there. And I don't know if this is just one of those things that it's been around for so long, it just got done. And they, did maintenance for decades on this. But I can promise you, there's no deed to the town for a boat landing. And I think that's the same thing they're hanging their hat on. But for years, they've maintained boat landings. And what's interesting is that, you know, I think there's 2 or 3 others are claiming the same thing.
So this goes back to a former public works director who upfitted all the boat landings and went in and did that. I think, you know, no need to talk about somebody who's retired and name, but I remember when he did all the boat landings and he fixed them all.
Yeah.
And we all thought he owned them, and now they're saying they didn't own them. And is it time to move that out of the administrative and move it into the political realm to see if we can get it
I think so. I mean,
resolved?
hell, it could be argued if there's a King's Grant through there. I mean, who owns the boat landing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
If
true.
it was ever permitted, I mean, where was it just constructed? I mean, it'd be interesting to see if there's an original permit.
Well, there's an original construction document
Yeah.
that's SCDOT. I have that document.
The
Does it state
SCDOT.
anything?
Right, yeah, well, the beach road was constructed by SCDOT.
But it doesn't say anything about the boat landing.
Not necessarily, no,
Mm-hmm.
just at the end of it.
Boat landings, huh?
And I think that causeway was created before dredge, I mean, in order to do, or,
I forget the date on that
Yeah.
document.
Do any of the other municipalities own any of the boat landings?
that's what I think, what is it, Pigeon Point?
Pigeon Point.
Pigeon Point is owned by, I was trying to think if Pigeon Point
And I don't
was.
think it's an argument, but I don't know why.
The city owns that?
Yes, ma'am.
And how about the one downtown, city owns?
The marina?
Waterfront Park.
River Park?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd say yeah on that one.
So as pretty as the one is on Ladies Island, just across the bridge on the
That's
left-hand
county.
side, it's too
That's
bad Fort
county.
Royal
That's
couldn't
county.
have something like that. That the county couldn't do.
The county
something.
claims ownership of that one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, sorry.
And it seems to be wherever it's an extension of a right-of-way.
Of a
That's
road.
the theme that I zeroed in on.
Yeah,
We-
like
we
Pigeon
zeroed-
Point is the end of,
End
A
of
right
the
of
road.
way,
Sands Beach is at the end of
End of
Sands
road.
Beach Road.
right.
Well, maybe we need to get some clarification and also, as you mentioned, that King's Grant.
So,
I know
because if
that.
we do own it, we'd obviously like to, if it ultimately does happen, then we've got to figure out a budget to fix that. Fix it the right way.
Yeah,
Ken, I'm concerned about taking on another
yeah.
expensive asset
I know.
without a funding plan, because we've already got a very large one in our road
Yeah.
network.
But it's always been understanding that the boat landings are owned by the county.
that's exactly right.
So I am concerned about that. I did ask, and it was done, that on the parks list, where they've listed all the parks throughout the county as, you know, kind of local parks, regional parks. There's another group in there, I can't remember what it was. Passive parks, they had the Sands Beach boat landing and the Sands Beach as one item, and I asked them to separate that Sands Beach is a park owned by the Port Royal, and Sands Beach Boat Landing is a boat landing, because they had a whole section for boat landings, and they had the beach associated with the boat landing, and I asked them to separate it and make Sands Beach a passive park
Passive
owned
park,
by the,
right.
owned by the town of Port Royal, and they did that on that list, but again, that's just a list so that people know what's out there. We're gonna have to dig deeper into this boat landing issue before we commit to anything, because like I said, I am extremely, we know it needs some
Lot of work.
substantial maintenance right now, between just the parking lot alone being maintained and then the boat landing side of it being maintained, and I don't even wanna think about what that floating dock. And we would have to add, can you check and see if it's on if it's on the county's insurance, as far as if a storm came through? I think that's something we should ask, if they're floating that on their insurance in any way. I think we could argue again, you've claimed ownership, because they built it. So, because if not, we're gonna have to add it to ours. Storm comes through and takes down that floating dock, I won't be digging into coffers to replace it.
Yeah.
We just rebuilt the boardwalk down there a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Right, and the
After,
board,
what was
we
it,
we
Matthew
accept
or
the
something?
boardwalk.
Was it Matthew?
Yeah, Matthew floated the boardwalk. All right, anything else on the boat landing? We didn't get anywhere with it, other than we got more work to do.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta find out.
Yep,
Let's put an end
yep.
to it.
I think, Van, let's add that to the county call list also, please,
Yeah.
that when we deal with the county. shrimp dock. And I'd like to add the shrimp dock, and then I'd like to add shrimp processing. And I think in my mind, I've come to the realization we need to treat these as two separate items in some ways. We can't always think, when we say shrimp dock, are we really talking the dock, or are we talking the processing facility? And when we talk about the processing, are we talking about the dock? I want to make sure that we're always kind of defining what we're doing, because I've realized in a lot of ways that they're getting mixed up, and they're two different things. When we look at our financials and we say that we're already in the hole by X dollar on the shrimp dock, I think if you look closely, we're really in the hole on shrimp processing. We don't own the dock. It's a little bit of electric and a little bit of work to keep the dock up and running. And the shrimp processing is where we're spending a lot of dollars and a lot of revenue on. And the question really becomes, we can keep one without the other. We obviously can't keep one without the other. We can't have processing without a dock. We can have a dock without processing. And I say that because we had the opportunity to meet with the only shrimpers that are actually shrimping out of them, and I posed the question. I asked them flat out, will you still shrimp out of Port Royal if we don't man the processing facility?
Are both of those shrimpers you talked to, are both of those guys shrimping?
Yes.
Do you know that?
I know that by what they tell me, and that they brought in shrimp at this point.
Mark Smith shrimp regularly?
I can't say regularly. Last time he brought in, and they told us that he's getting ready to go back out starting, give us a date, when it's going to kick back.
It's not even shrimp season now. They won't shrimp till June.
Right.
But Mark,
May. End of May.
I love Mark to death. Is he shrimping? That's the question. I don't think Mark's shrimping.
We do have he's listed as a shrimper. I don't know.
Well, I guess, Van, one of the things we need to know too, and I guess I bring this up every time, and it's a sore subject, but
either way,
who is paying rent at that dock? Is every
regularly.
Single boat there paying rent?
Most of them are, not all of them.
Okay, the ones that aren't, how long has it been since they paid rent?
Some of them, it's been a while.
So can we not go after them in any way, shape, or form to have them remove those boats that we're paying the electricity to keep their bilge
We got
pumps
two
running?
conversations going on. I'm sorry. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Keep going. No, you keep going.
Because we're paying the electricity down there for the bilge pumps that the boats aren't any good and probably gonna sink, and they're not even paying rent. And the people that are paying rent are getting the same thing that somebody that doesn't pay rent. What can we do to take care of it?
Now, you can put them on trespassing and then take ownership of the boat if they don't pay the bills.
That's the only, and we don't have the money to dispose of the boat. That's why and you've applied for grants to get rid of.
I've got 3 that we're trying to get rid of right now.
Right. And so the idea is, if we can get the money to dispose of the boats, because they're not seaworthy in any way, nobody's gonna buy them, then you go after saying, pay your rent or you lose your boat, because we have something to do with it when we get it. Right now, we can't do anything with it. Even if we were to claim ownership, even if we were to go down there, what do? Now we own something, and it's our responsibility, and if it sinks, again, either way, it ends up in our lap, but there's a lot more liability if we go down that path and can't deal with it. And that's why I keep saying these are two separate issues: shrimp processing, shrimp dock. And remember, we don't own the dock to date. It's getting closer, but we don't own the dock to date. We're spending some money to keep it operational. And is it time, and to your statement, Jerry, if he's not, if one of the two, and I wasn't saying who it was, if one of the two is not, and the other one is or isn't, and it doesn't make a difference, if they both say that they can or can't do it without us having a processing facility, then do we find another way to make sure the dock is secured and stop the processing facility?
I knew Thomas was shrimping pretty regularly. I know nobody's shrimping right now.
Right.
I know Mark has shrimped and kind of back and forth. I wasn't sure where he was at on shrimping.
Yeah, I mean,
My thing is, we have, what's the rent, $4,000 a month?
Yeah.
$4,000 a month.
$4,000 a month. We have 2 full-time employees down there, and what are we talking about? 1 boat shrimping, maybe? 2 boats of shrimping, maybe?
2 at the most.
2 at the most. And
Two
we're
at the
spending,
moment.
like I said, we got 2 full-time employees, $4,000 a month on a rental room.
But I think there are other boats offloading over there.
They are.
Swordfish, but
Yeah,
that's-
The swordfish-
They come in twice a year.
They come in twice a year. I questioned about that, and I was specifically told that they have everything on the boats they need other than ice to do their own offloading. They arrange the pickup, they arrange the trucking, the boxes are already pre-built, and they do that. But again, that's a short-term, as we know, that's a short-term activity, and if we've got to assist with some sort of labor to help that, I mean, you can almost do temp labor to bring in a couple of guys to help somebody put together some boxes, send them up and move them on.
Or other boats outside of Mark and or Thomas unloading shrimp any other
Occasionally.
time that you know of?
Yeah, we do get like, we'll get the occasional boats. And a lot of it has to do with where they are when they're full. They're full.
So those boats are gonna come in here, offload, process, put on a truck, and then they're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, swordfish and other shrimp boats.
And
that
we don't
make
have
it.
anything to do with that.
And then we buy from those boats. We buy the shrimp off the boats. That's the way it works.
But we don't have to do that. We could get out
We
of the
don't have to.
wholesale market completely. And they can sell their shrimp outright. Now, like I said, the two that I spoke with said that they are more than willing to pay a packing fee. And there is a rate that's kind of set in this area for a packing fee, which somewhere between 30 and 40 cents a pound, I think was what I heard, that they're willing to pay a town a packing fee if they have availability to ice, to get the ice, pack them up, and then get them out of here. So are we at the point now that we look at doing this in a different fashion? Kind of seeing what it would take to turn this into a self-service shrimp dock rather than a full service with these employees and this large rent that at least we're paying. And until we get to the point, let me add the other part of that statement, until we get to the point that we get the building built and get the 1,700 square feet that we are owed and get that back up and running and put it out there to see if we can get somebody to come in and manage shrimp processing and Bar Royal again. I'm not saying that we're cutting it completely and ending it, but I don't know that we can keep going where we're going.
I agree.
I don't think that I don't think we're getting anywhere while we're in between this. Can we find the money to rebuild the dock? Is the port, whoever ends up building the dock on the port redevelopment, do they want to be part of the shrimp dock and the Backwoods F? And can we work out a deal with them? And, all of these things are lagging behind, but we're bleeding revenue. That I'm not so certain, the revenue that we're bleeding gets a school resource officer, gets Jeff another CDL driver, maybe gets them both an FTE in what we're bleeding. And is it time to say, which service is it that we're going to offer the town? Are we going to fulfill these two gentlemen, or are we going to keep bleeding into
A shrimp dock that's not
the
being
shrimp
done.
processing? I'm not saying closing the dock. Dock stays there, dock remains. We find a way to turn this into a self-service facility. It's a very small piece of equipment. Van and I looked at it almost, I guess it's over a year ago when we were looking to move into that. The amount of space they need is very small to actually do the work. And can we set it up in a way that they call ahead, and sorry, Jeff, maybe it's they call ahead and somebody goes down there and unlocks the door, and they come in, process their own, done, lock it back up, and we walk away. And that's it. And we get a little bit of packing fee off of that because we're keeping that up and running. I think that the rent pays the electric.
What's that?
The rent that we get from the dock,
Yeah, that could pay the.
that covers the electric that we're supplying to the dock. We send a letter, again, I'm thinking way outside, we send a letter to each boat owner saying we are not going to have anybody managing the dock. The boats are your responsibility, the electric, alarms, all that stuff is your responsibility. You're a boat owner. You got to take responsibility for it not to sink.
What happens if it sinks?
What happens if it sinks now? We get stuck with it.
Right. I mean, it just sits
Nothing's
there.
changing there. I can't find a way to, I can't figure out a way to defer that.
I get it. I get it.
I think it's a great statement.
We've come a long way from, we were spending $500,000 a year in budget, and we've come a long way since those days.
Well, we're going to hit 250 this year, I think.
Yeah.
We're going to hit
Yeah,
200. You think about two positions, you've just covered two positions. You've just given an FTE. You think about earlier with some assistance on town hall. I mean, that's a position.
What's our yearly budget? 7 million?
7 million.
$250,000 is significant.
Yeah,
Paul.
seven
$7
point
million
2 million, and we're going to hit $250,000 this year. And again, I'm not I want to find a better way to do it, but I think we're stuck at the point that we can't get it any better from where we are until a couple of things happen. One is the port moves forward on some of their construction to give us a better facility. We find money to build a better dock, or we end up in a partnership with somebody to build a better dock, and we have an area designed for shrimpers. But right now, we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. And, we've given it, you guys that have been on council, and I'm sorry to use that expression, it's a northern thing, you guys. The past councils have done a yeoman's job to try to make this happen. The staff had, reached out to everybody they can think of. I've talked to everybody. Once again, Van, you said it earlier, nobody is helping save shrimping other than the town of Port Royal. 12,800 and some odd people in the entire state are keeping shrimping alive in this area. Is that the right decision anymore? I don't know how else to describe that statement, and I'll leave it at that. Shut up. So we don't make decisions here. We certainly talk about things here, and we've got to.
And, and I know that those two guys talked about being self-sufficient, but at the same time, they still want ice and they still want fuel.
Fuel is done.
Fuel tank's gone.
Fuel tank's gone.
But guess what we heard when we got rid of the fuel tank? Well, we need fuel.
And we asked that kind of
That's called
question.
a truck to come in and.
Truck won't deliver unless it's 1,000 gallons.
1,000 gallons. One of the boat takes more than 1,000 gallons. One of the boat takes under. So right now they're having to coordinate their delivery to get it to 1,000 gallons. Maybe that's something we've not looked at. We've reached out, and maybe that's something that can be reached out. That's going to get solved if the port. If the marina ever gets built, that'll solve itself, and if there's some way we can find something in between to help them, maybe there is. I mean, I wonder if, again, I'm thinking, you talk to some of these larger construction companies around here, they have fuel trucks. Is there a way that we could do something with them and partner with them for the little bit of fuel that we need? Yeah, you're gonna pay a little bit more, but it still can get it here.
Well, I thought that Chris Butler said when we took that tank down that he could have a truck come in there and fill those boats up. Am I mistaken in what I
Yeah,
heard?
as long as it's over 1,000 gallons.
But he didn't say that.
He
He did not say that.
That's
He
what-
said, I will have a truck come down there and they can deliver fuel at that dock. He didn't say it, but I agree with you, Joe. That truck isn't gonna come for less than 1,000. Maybe Butler needs to use some of that fuel for what he's using. I don't know. I love the shrimp docks. I think it's a great thing. I think it helps everybody. It's a beautiful site, but we can't afford to keep losing money.
Right, we can keep the dock and shut down processing.
Shut that processing.
Keep the dock, we support the dock, we support the shrimpers the best we can. I think
But I think we got to get rid of the boats that aren't paying because it's not fair to the people that are.
as soon as we can, right. I agree.
And that's just a bad thing, and it's been happening for years.
And I think the only thing that we come out of here with, is Van is asked staff to look into what would it take to set up a self-service offload. What is that? We say it, they say they can do it, but I think you have to talk with DHEC and understand
DHEC could have to.
what the
Yeah,
ramifications.
but you're handling shellfish. I mean, you don't just get to, it's, I heard, yeah, we can handle it, but but we need ice, but we need fuel. We're gonna pack it out. The swordfish boats need boxes. All that's stored here.
Right.
That doesn't just magically appear. And there's the ice is a massive machine.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it's
Close
stuck
it
on the
on.
side of the building on somebody else's property that we're renting. So we in processing. You got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of everything else. So there's no more ice, and there's no more fuel. We're either in or you're out. I mean,
If that's what you come back to us and tell us, the only way to do this is to do
Yeah.
it this way, then that's
I
what you
mean-
come back to us and tell us.
I hate to say it, but I've heard that there are awful things. This dock is so atrocious. Well, you know what? There are other docks you can go to. Hudson's has a dock. Craig Reeves has a dock. Packing's 40 cents. One's 35. It's that same thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to justify that
I know.
$250,000 loss after hearing the need from
From the guys out here.
everybody today, and then we're just going to lose $250,000.
And that's what we need to hear from you. If you say we can't even do a self-serve,
I mean, and don't forget,
then that's it. All we have is a dock now.
we're talking about construction of a new dock, but we have estimates on repairing the existing dock. And there, you know, we've got penciled pilings now.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, what's holding that dock up is the dead boats on either side.
Well, I just think we have to come up with a decision. It's good stewards of the town's money, and we have to look at the needs to service the town opposed to throwing money away and then not being able to help the community where we need to put that money.
I think we should maybe set a deadline on when we want to make that decision.
Well,
Because
right.
Sherby,
Well,
like you said,
I
Sherby
think the
season's
first
coming
thing we
up.
do is ask for a report from staff on
Yes.
whether we can do a self-serve facility or if we have to close everything, and then the only thing we have is a dock, and we're charging rent for it. And that's it, to keep a boat there. Bring that report back to us and tell us,
Because,
The pros and
I would
cons of
say,
the
you know what, we keep the dock open. But
Yeah, I
when
like
you
the
go
dock.
when you come back in, you need to go deliver your shrimp someplace else. And then after you offload and you fuel, you can come back, tie up your boat,
Tie up the boat.
pay your rent.
Well, maybe they will do it
right,
down here, where the,
come back
Or the
to
cruise
us, and
ships
come back
only.
to us with a report on what it would take to open a self-serve.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, we say no, and we just keep the dock open.
Gotcha.
Could we revisit that study? Was it the redevelopment commission? Could we find that and look at that again? Was there something Virginia did
Yeah,
a few
yeah,
years ago?
and at that point, it didn't include rent.
Right, could you just pull that out
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just share it with everybody, so,
yeah.
you know, that, and then look at these things that, the mayor's requesting. And I agree, it's time to, you know, fish or cut bait, I get it, I get it.
Well, the problem
Shrimp
is
or
the
cut
need
bait?
in the town.
Shrimp
Cut
or
back.
coat, babe?
Yeah, I
We
just
got
think
to
the
figure that
need
out.
overrides.
Mayor, we've got,
Yep, I see.
Parks and Rec Commissioner here.
I see Parks and Rec's come in, so we're gonna go ahead and stop from this discussion list and let Park and Rec join us. Greg, thank you, and give us a report. Hold on, Jeff, can you give us, one of those seats will open up for you, because that's where the mics and everything are, and he's already mic'd up. Well, you can just walk around and sit right over there. Jeff, take a seat, so I don't wanna kick you out again. Keep kicking you out of your
Thanks for
seat,
being
Jeff.
here.
Good to see you.
Is he on?
Hello.
Greg, thanks for joining us here as Park and Rec representative, even though I guess this is your last hurrah, and we appreciate that very much.
My last hurrah, yeah. I'm in life transition. Is it on?
You're good for the audio for home on Facebook, so you're not going to be talking.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of this? Do you need a copy of this?
Ben, can you get it up?
I'm looking for it. Yeah, that's what I sent in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then bring it up.
I didn't
If
print
not,
it, sorry, I just got them electronically.
Give me just a second.
Pretty conversant, but on it. I was
You'll have it on
planting.
that screen and the screen behind you, Greg.
Okay. If I look a little bit hassled, I was out plowing the North 40 when I got
Nice.
a text. One of the things that I figured we were doing in the transitionary phase of Parks and Recreation is kind of look at what we've been working on, where we paused because of COVID-19, and again, we're looking forward some of the things that we hopefully be able to resolve and or take off the list. I think one of the items up there, I said we should fill or kill it. So continue to address the parking and traffic. That seems to be an ongoing conversation down at the Sands. I had sent Van an email a few weeks ago about some suggestions I had about start using signage to get people to start parking in the dry stack parking lot. That way we'll get them accustomed to parking there rather than on Sands Beach Road. And then through enforcement, use that method to kind of keep them off the Sands Beach Road, because I think it's getting worse rather than better. I was down there a couple weeks ago, I guess, when they had the beer garden open, and it's the same thing. I mean, Mary Beth, you had mentioned it at one time. You can't move up and down that road with the cars that are parked on the side. Same thing, cars that are parked where the boats were supposed to be parking. And so if we can use the sands, the dry stack parking lot, that would be 118 available parking spaces that folks could go to. And then there's a trail from that parking lot that would go to the beer garden if they didn't want to just walk down the street. The other option, or an additional option that we talked about, was until the adjacent lot across the street from the dry stack is ultimately used for some other purpose. If Grey Ghost is so inclined, they've cleared that out to the point where we might be able to use that as well. We looked at that, doing that for the Shark Festival 2 years ago, and that would have been about another 125 parking spaces. So if you just think about it, that's about 230 spaces that are no longer along the Sands Beach Road or piled up anywhere else along Paris or London. And it's very easily accomplished, I think, is if we use signage along Paris and or the Sands area about where the parking should be. The other was use the signage, discuss with Grey Ghost about the temporary parking, and potentially add another security camera to that area so that we have a sense of what's going on, other than, the way I understand it right now is that if someone at the police station is looking at it, or if one of the officers can access the camera that's already up there, that vertical high camera, no one's really looking at it. We need to have something that's available that might be up in a monitor in the police station, so that if there's anything really kind of going on crazy in that area, they can respond to it before it gets worse. That's my vote on it. And the other one, we talked about a license plate camera at one time. That was something that wouldn't work unless the camera was in front of the vehicle so that they could see who the driver was, that if anything was going on, they'd have both the car and the driver. And apparently that makes all the difference in the world. So my recommendation was maybe we should discuss the possibility of putting up another camera as you come into that area. Now that area may be the Sands Beach, that area may be the Sands Beach Road. Before COVID-19, we were talking about using the parks in a multi-purpose, as a multi-purpose arena. And what we were talking about doing is having and offering adult exercise programs in the spring as well as in the fall. No one, I think, wants to work outside in July and August, except for maybe the mayor on his bicycle, but the rest of us probably want to be in air conditioning. So, but we wanted to use all of the parks so that the community would have an effort to see the other areas that we have to offer that are available to them, other than Live Oaks and maybe the Sands. And possibly, as we market that arena and those resources, there are things in those parks that might attract them. We now have the new area down by Fort Frederick, I think it is. And so, you know, those kind of things would work out well. And I guess at some point down the road, we were talking about what happens with the Naval Hospital area. Should we be thinking about possibly how the community would be able to avail themselves to that as well? There were a couple things that we were talking about, and I really think it might be time to, you know, as they say on Wall Street, either fill it or kill it. To kill it, and one of them is the parks rental fees. That seemed to be a lightning rod every time we even brought it up. So if there's no interest in pursuing it, I think Parks and Rec should just take it off their agenda. The outdoor gym, we have 3 estimates right now that have been presented to the town in terms of what we could do at the Naval Heritage Park. It's an outdoor gym that would give the community the option of working outside if they're not members of any health club. There would be 4 or 5 stations as we've currently proposed it. And as the park either gets used more, we could go into different phases of growth. And the phases of growth would mean we'd add additional stations to what would be down there. And additionally, not only additional stations, we would change venues. So perhaps there would be one at Naval Heritage, there might be one at Live Oaks, there might be one down by the Sands, and all these different areas. But again, we need some direction on whether or not we want to go forward, put it neutral, or kill it. Looking down the road, open discussion regarding the properties in Port Royal that are or may be designated as potential park space. There's been a lot of discussion about 3 parks as part of the Gray Ghost Master Plan. There's been a discussion about the 3 areas down here, and the other one across the street is going down the Sands Beach Road on the left side, whatever happens to that whenever that decision is made. But what I was attempting to bring up when I put that down was that we have a sense of where we're going with some of the parks that are being, excuse me.
Not Dave
That's
the horn on the first car.
Tim Decker. Okay, so is to start discussing them, at least put them on the table. And what do we think is going to happen? What does that mean for the community? What should we be planning for? Doesn't mean we have to put anything in the budget for next year or the year later, but it's always good to start looking down the road a couple of years so that you have a plan in place, you have a vision of what that might look like when you get there, rather than get there and try to figure out what you're going to do. And so if we could come up with some maybe 30,000-foot idea of what the park system in Port Royal might look like down the road, whoever takes over my position as chair of Parks and Recreation may start putting that into the mix now. So I put my little farewell speech in there. I really enjoyed chairing Parks and Rec. I'd hope we would have accomplished a little bit more than we did, but we can only do so much with the powers that be. But I thank you all for your confidence of letting me be there, and then in my new role in county.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, and we look forward to things in that new role. I think the outdoor gym idea, as you know, I think that's a great idea. I think it fits Port Royal so much in that way, and I'm sure, Van, those estimates, we've moved them on, and that's part of the
larger Naval Heritage.
Right, that's part of the larger Naval Heritage. We're getting some funding in the Park and Rec capital impact fee list. So we certainly took those, used them, and we're trying to find funding as we talked when we met out there on site. And it was pretty great that you were able to get us some real dollar numbers. You know, I'd love to be able to say, yeah, let's move forward, but honestly, 60K, that's not something the town of Port Royal budget at this point can do. We've got to find a partner, and that's our goal.
But one of the things I want to point out is that's their first shot over the bow. We haven't returned fire.
Yeah, but I think it's a good first shot to say what the magnitude of what we need to do, and as some of the things we've heard here today, it's another one we've got to look at and see if we can't find. But I think it's a great option. You know, it would have been great to say we have some funding first, what do we spend the money on? And you came back and said, hey, this is a great idea, but we're actually the reverse. You brought us an idea, now we as a council have to try to find you funding or your commission funding in the future. And I think it makes sense to us to keep going forward and doing that. And hopefully the right partner comes along and says, hey, this is a great idea, we want to do it. You know, maybe the Y jumps in with a little bit of money, we find some grants and all these kind of things, find a way to get this up and running, but I think that's an important one.
And I think there would be, from reading the tea leaves, I think they would be interested in part of the Y to do that.
Yeah, I think so too, and we'll just go forward now that we've got dollar value, some dollars that you submitted to us. And the parking, you're dead. I mean, you just talked a lot about parking, and I think we've talked a lot about parking. We understand those needs. We're looking at all that property, and certainly as we keep working with the port developer, we're going to try to incorporate some of your suggestions into that. We heard earlier that Jeff and the town are working on how to clean Sands Beach Road a little bit more, do some restriping in there, add some more signing along Sands Beach Road to kind of help that. You know, summer's here, spring's here, summer's coming fast. And people got outdoors real fast because we were all stuck indoors for so long. We've got to do that. So I think those are all great suggestions that we'd like to take forward.
I would invite council to take a look at the Sands Beach Task Force proposal.
Yeah.
There's some other areas in that area, the beach area, that would help with some of the cross-functional chaos that takes place when cars are going 360 degrees at one time.
Yep, we agree. Council, questions?
Yeah, I just had some random questions. Who is our council representative on this commission?
On,
You are?
Kevin?
Okay. Who is our redevelopment commission representative? So you're doing two?
Kevin's doing two.
Okay.
I think most of us are doing more than one. You do, yeah.
All right. What is the frequency of that meeting?
Once a month.
Once a month for Parks and Rec.
Okay. And then we've got John Hazel, just a point, he backfilled you.
Is he
just as a-
backfilling his chair?
No.
Just
Just-
backfills my seat.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We
And then-
don't choose chair.
Yeah, y'all do
You
the chair.
choose chair.
So
The
at some point,
commission
I
chooses
guess y'all
its
will
own
do a chair.
I thought we had that taken care of with the co-chair of Parks and Rec. And then when we finally got to that point, she declined to follow
Okay.
through on
Then
that.
they'll have to choose, they'll have to have an election.
So we're gonna have election.
Yeah, yep, they'll have to have an election.
Okay, and then how's your new role? Can you kind of bring us up to speed with the new position that you're in, the new commission that you're on?
They're taking advantage of my retirement.
Good.
I think I'm in, let's see, we've had our meeting here, 3 that follow that, and 1 just yesterday. So we're talking a lot about the 2021 budget. We're talking about, yesterday, I brought a resource into the meeting. We're talking about cybersecurity curriculum for K to 12 college, and I brought in a guy from the NSA that's a personal friend of mine that taught that course at West Point. And so the folks that were at that meeting, I think, were very satisfied with the information that he brought forward. But what we're looking at now is building a strategic plan on that curriculum, and not only taking it to the point where we could bring it to healthcare, to a college, to start to develop it, and to the grammar school, high school, but literally take it to the point where we could look at corporate funding to help develop that effort, bring the curriculum in, bring the instructors in to actually deliver the courses. So this is a plan that looks at 2030 rather than 2022, 2023, but it also looks at what does Beaufort County want to offer other companies and businesses and corporate partners down the road. I mean, between artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, which is one of the things that came up at our last meeting, these are areas that the workforce is going to have to be attuned to, other than where we are today in 2021.
I don't doubt it. I mean, Joe, we were just at a meeting yesterday where we heard the speaker talk about this exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is all because I know that they had the cybersecurity.
Tabletop.
Reese, what was the tabletop this week?
Tabletop.
Right.
The tabletop, which is part of that same group, and I'm assuming that these are all combined, because a lot of the people that are on your commission were absolutely involved with what happened with the
Right,
tabletop.
and those are
what's
the people
going on.
that were there yesterday
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, so it's one big effort, and I'm glad that, again, it's being dealt with on all sides and how we can bring things forward. It's all right, I drew a blank there. It's fine.
Well, those are just the questions I had.
My
Thank you for
mind's
what
going
you've done
away.
for the Parks and Rec
Too
Commission,
much.
and thank you for what you continue to
Yeah.
do with Town of Fort Boyd.
Thank you.
Much
Yeah, and-
appreciated.
Yeah, and absolutely, and the Sands Beach recommendations, you brought them back up, and they certainly haven't died. It's, again, one of the biggest issue is the bottom line, how do you pay for it? And as stuff comes available, those are the things that keep coming off the shelves. Last thing you want to do is do a plan and put it on a shelf, but when the opportunity comes available, the plan comes right back off the shelf to implement, and they're not going away. The group has actually finished their task, and now it's up to us to figure out the long range to decide what we want to do or how we want to do it.
No, and I fully respect the fact that we got hit with this thing last year called COVID, which put a wrinkle in everything that we were thinking and doing. So maybe we bring it back up in this cycle or next year. But I think it's important enough not to take it off the table.
Yep,
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Keep an eye on that dog.
Yeah,
Hey, I need to just take a 5-minute break.
absolutely. Let's go ahead and take 5 minutes if we can stop.
What I mean,
Thanks, everybody. We're back. We're back to our topics for discussion. And the next one on our list is the traffic study in the streets. We've kind of talked a lot about that. Is there something specific that anybody wanted to bring up there, or did we cover it so far
I think we covered it pretty well.
today?
I think we've covered the traffic study.
All right, then we're gonna move on to the Naval Hospital. Is that one you put on the list, or? Somebody requested it.
Didn't Kevin talk about that potentially, about the possibility of that property in the event that they close?
I mean, I didn't ask for it to get on, but it's definitely something
we need to.
what is going on and what.
I mean,
And I know you can't get answers out of the federal government, but, I mean, it's a gigantic building. It's right there on the water. I'd hate to see it. It seems that they are scaling it down. I think that's fair to say. And I would just hate for all of a sudden we just get the news that, hey, we're shutting it and we're gonna put some boards up on it and just mothball it. And then we just have that property sitting there doing nothing. So I don't know what that looks like going forward, because like I said, you can't get any answers out of them, but it's just something I just want us to keep on our radar, because it is in Port Royal and it's a big building that I would hate to just see turn into nothing, you know?
Yeah, but we
Yeah, I
can't do
think-
anything now as
Even though
long
it
as the
has a
DOD
beef
owns
address.
it.
right,
No.
I think the one thing we can certainly commit to, it's just zip code. I think that's one thing we can certainly commit to is, Mayor Murray and I have been talking, and we were gonna meet with the MEC committee and go to their next meeting to kind of get some ideas, some feel for what's happening in that arena. And certainly, we will ask those questions, and we'll bring back anything we hear from them. I think if there's anybody that might know something, they're gonna be the ones that are gonna hear about it.
It's a good place to start.
I think it's the only way that we're really, it's always gonna be kind of a last, there's gonna be rumors, and then there's gonna be a decision, and whenever that is, that is. There are a number of people that are obviously looking at the property. Certainly, there's the development world, which I hope it doesn't go that route. But I think it has a great potential, and it was just interesting because this conversation happened outside in the hallway just a minute ago. It has the great potential to become an almost governmental facility, a multi-governmental facility, where, the cybersecurity group is doing the classes there. There's all different types of activity, in educational or in real world, even to the point of, where we're located. If that was a joint site and be located, and again, lots of different activities that occur. It's way too valuable a piece of property. It's got way too much history on it to end up in the development world.
And it's got unlimited potential, like you
Right,
were saying, for what's going
and we
forward.
gotta keep our ears out there, know what's happening in that way, and try to move forward. And there's been lots and lots of rumor about it over the year. Sooner or later, something's gonna occur. But if this area keeps growing, and the retirement veterans keep growing here and keep asking for a facility closer than traveling to where they're traveling now, it could change. It could change again in that way and still remain in a different area of a hospital.
I think it's great as being a hospital. My favorite, like I said, is just if it's not a hospital anymore, what is the
They
next?
exploded a USB campus at one time.
the
It's been
next
floated
phase?
at many things.
Oh, I'm going to read you something directly from Military Health System, Section 703, Work Group Use Cases.
What was the year?
February of 20.
Yes.
That's pretty
Last
good.
year.
Yeah, transition, this is site Naval Hospital Beaufort. Decision, transition Naval Hospital Beaufort to an ambulatory surgery center and outpatient clinic with medical holding bed capability, located in size to the requirement to assure appropriate care to those recruits that exceed the care capabilities of the recruit recovery unit.
And read that again. Sorry.
Site, Naval Hospital, Beaufort. Decision, transition Naval Hospital, Beaufort to an ambulatory surgery center and outpatient clinic with medical holding bed capability located in size to the recruitment to assure appropriate care to those recruits that exceed the care capabilities of the recruit recovery unit.
Okay.
So they would still maintain it.
Yeah.
At this point,
That's what it looks like.
at this point, And that's basically what they're doing at this point, so we just got to keep a close eye on that one.
Okay.
Anything else? I mean, obviously, we're still working with them to move the 2 fences. We have 2 fence issues. Neither one of those has died.
The
first
Camp Saxon sign.
Camp Saxon side
And
and
the
the
fence on the
Reboat Road side to
sidewalk,
get the
right.
sidewalk in. Now, both of those are still actively being pursued and moved at the snail pace that it's going to happen in that aspect. And the road is something that we're also actively working on to deal with the Old Shell Extension exit in that way.
We could have Shawshank Redemption, that sidewalk by now, just shaking out a little concrete at a time.
Yep.
Walked up and down that corridor.
Yeah, everybody go down there, drop in the crusher run, and let it back down, and then drop some asphalt on top of it. Traffic impact tag fees. We've had a couple of conversations about roads. You know my feelings on the fact that we have no funding source in place to start in any way dealing with repairing our infrastructure of roads and finding a way to do some long-term maintenance on those roads or improving them in any way. And I went down a couple of different paths over the last year. I tried really hard to do something with a single impact fee, tag fee, getting the county to maybe change theirs. Percentage comes to us, percentage goes to the county. The only way that really would have worked if all the municipalities joined in. That has not happened. The town of Bluffton and the town of Hilton have already passed their own impact fees and have moved forward with the tag fee in their directions. And they have town of Bluffton has much less roads than what we have, and they're using that fee as an enhancement.
How much was their fee?
They were
Remember?
both 25, is where they started at 25. The county is currently $16.64, somewhere in there. They have not changed that fee in many years, even though it said that they were supposed to, but they haven't, so that's a good thing. So we'll leave that fee alone.
Per vehicle?
Per license plate, so you can say that as per vehicle.
Okay, so
Yes,
that's
Per vehicle.
yeah, it's
could be
per
trailer,
vehicle.
boat.
And it has to be, wouldn't be boats, wouldn't be golf
motor
carts.
Okay.
Wouldn't be any of those. Looking at our numbers from a year ago, a $25 would have been about $175,000 a year, so a $20 is going to be some percentage less. Sorry, I should have had those numbers ready. I did a while back.
So that's $25 on top of the existing 16, so it's $41 now that it raises to? Is that what I'm hearing?
It wouldn't change the existing. It'd be a separate tag fee for the town of Port Royal.
So the 16 is, everybody's already paying the
It's
16?
staying and it ain't going nowhere. The
Right,
county's
and then
not-
on top of that, you're talking about adding an additional 25?
I'm talking about, should we add something? The
Right.
number I have, and the number I'm not
Absolutely.
talking about. And in my head, the number was about $20, somewhere between 15 and $20, $18, somewhere in that area was mine.
And any motorized vehicle?
Registered, what's the easiest way to describe it, Chief?
Motorcycle?
It's a registered motor vehicle, not trailers, not, right, it's registered motor
Motorcycle,
vehicle
truck, car,
in the town of Port Royal.
So
Boats
stop
or
parking
not?
my car outside of.
Yep.
Not golf carts, not boats.
Golf carts aren't registered.
Right, cars, trucks, and motorcycles.
RVs.
And again, like the military who keeps their vehicles registered in their home communities wouldn't pay that. The vehicle has to be registered in the town of Port Royal.
And who would collect that money?
The county it would be part of the normal registration fee where you pay it now for your
And then they
vehicle
would,
tax.
whatever we paid,
And
we
on
would
top
get that
of
money?
Correct. And the thing about a fee like that, first of all, the ordinance that we write dictates the money can only go to one thing. And that's why, in my mind, I like it better than a tax, because somehow or other, if something happens, you start using the money in other places. This can't be used. This is used for right-of-way maintenance and the activities within the right-of-ways. We can dictate in the fee whether it's strictly hard costs, or does it also supplement a salary? Those are the type of things that we can decide when something like this gets put into place, so people know exactly where it's going and why it's being used. We can use the money in ways that we choose. We can use it on our own roads, but if there is a strong need for a project on a state road, we could use this as a matching portion of something. I mean, those are all the options that become available to us to do with those funds. But obviously, right off the bat is the roads that we own, how do we bring them up? It also gives us an amazing borrowing capability. Van, and maybe you want to talk a little bit more on that aspect, the borrowing capability of a fee like this, and don't forget to turn on your mic. Helping you out there a little.
Make sure I'm on. No, I just really wanted you to see real quickly, you were talking about the specifics of how, Bluffton addresses this. And as you can see under the establishment of the fee there, it lists acquisition and/or maintenance of town-owned roads and pathways and roadway and pathway improvements within the territorial limits of the town, utilization for general fund road and traffic-related expenditures, and 3, principal, interest, redemption premium, and any other costs associated with debt incurred for a purchase authorized herein. And that kind of segues into what you just mentioned. What this would allow you to do is to underwrite a borrowing with the anticipated collections from a tag fee. So if you were to, I think we estimated at the time, I can't remember the specific amount was, that it would generate, I think it was $115,000 a year.
At the 20, I think.
Right,
that's what it
and
was.
then you
Not-
would, kind of back into what you could potentially borrow over X term. So if you decided, all right, we want to do, $1.5 million worth of resurfacing, you could pledge the funds collected through the tag fee, because there is some expectation of collections on an annual basis to help underwrite the debt payment for that borrowing with this money. It's what we did when we purchased the shed. We pledged the anticipated hospitality fees to underwrite the debt.
So I think it's something we need to be thinking about, because I'm concerned we're setting up this council and future councils to be scrambling to find something to deal with really bad roads. I think we're getting to that point there. What was the statement that you said a minute ago? What did you call the roads?
Oh, what's that? Roads of character.
Roads of character. We're currently maybe beyond roads of character, and we're getting into some issues with the roads. And everything that I've done, everything that I've looked to try to find, is there a way to get some funding in here? It's not. There's never going to be enough looking outside to bring in the gas tax fee that the CTC has. Even if we were to get one project a year, which we're never going to stop trying to get because it'll always get another road, we'd be lucky to get 1 or 2 small sections on the CTC fee. They have a lot of roads. They're heading down a path that I think is a really good path. Hopefully they stick with that, where they've collected all of the roads that are owned by governmental agencies. They've got them on a single list. They have somebody going out and ranking those roads for condition and assessment on what needs to be done to those roads, and then they're going to work just worst to best. But the reality is there are a lot of really bad roads, and you got to remember a portion of their money must be spent on state roads, even though it comes from the state to the local, but it still has to be spent back on state roads. So the list is long, and our roads will fall very far and deep on that list in that way. That's even if they stick to the plan of saying they're going to follow the list. They may turn later and say, nope, we're doing county roads, and municipal roads are secondary once again, because that's where they were for years, and we just don't know where they're going to be. So this is one of the only ways that we can do specific towards roads in that way. So that's why I asked for this one to be put on here so that we can have this conversation. It would start, if we were to do something, it doesn't start till the following calendar year, is what I remember our research.
I believe so, yeah.
So so even if we do something now, it wouldn't hit till January. Wouldn't be the next collections would be the following year of tag registrations. So it's just putting us out there again in the future in that way. Again, it's not much different than what we did, if you think about it, with a little bit of the impact fees and other things. Those are new, these are existing residents, but it's a way to fund this. So thoughts and conversation? Hearing.
Well, let's talk about loss a little bit also. If we don't get lost, then we really are going to be in a precarious position relative to funding these sorts of things.
Yeah, and I think about lost, and whether or not that goes through. We have 2 uphill battles. One, we got to get it on the referendum, that's an uphill battle. That's not completely sure that that's going to happen. And then once we get it, we've got to get the citizens to vote for it. So there's 2 battles to get lost. It's going to be a substantial, 71% tax relief. That'll come forward. And then you've got this secondary pot of money that you'll be able to use for other capital projects. And if you think about the fact of taking streets and roads kind of off of that list, that we're dealing with them through this, then you've got money coming in from Lost that you'll be able to do some of these bigger things that we've talked about. How do we finally get the parks updated? How do we build out certain areas of parks? How do we do this other kind of stuff? This gives you that other funding stream, knowing that a lot of those dollars that are coming in from Lost, and I think the estimates, are the estimates over 50%? Reese, you probably know this better than maybe. Is it over or just under 50% by people not from the area and Lost? Was it 47% by visitors? It's hovering right about in there. That 47, 48% of every penny paid will be paid by somebody who's coming to the area that doesn't live in the area. So building out those amenities and parks and bringing more people here and using our businesses, to me, it's a good place to use those dollars because that's what it was for, because we already gave a tax break on 71%.
And Mayor, I want to clarify that 71% tax break, if I might. 71% of the total revenues created by laws will be used to create a tax refund, but the average taxpayer won't see it as 71% tax rate reduction on an individual taxpayer. It will be a proportion of the whole at 71% of the money that's collected will be put back towards the people.
And if people are curious about it, you can go to Jasper County, look up a tax bill, and see it right on there. They get a rebate on their taxes. I'm sorry, it's a direct abatement of tax liability, so you never even have to pay it in.
And actually, residents of the municipalities will see it twice, right?
Potentially.
Because they see it, one for municipal taxes and one for county taxes.
Yes, if you pull
Because
one up in
remember, the county,
Martyville-
if the loss goes through, the county also has to do
Yeah.
the 71% rebate.
It's funny, I just did a document search, and I found one that I created from 2014. And, in that scenario, we were looking at, if you had a house assessed value of $200,000, with the lost property tax credit, that bill, which would have been $552, was going to get a tax credit of $250. And your net property tax bill liability was $301.
It's going to be the only way in the near future that the local government, county and municipality, will be able to provide some level of property tax relief to its residents. The easy math is to contemplate how much money you have to spend in a retail environment to make up that 1% tax increase. It's exponential in relation to that tax credit that you'll receive back on your bill.
Thank you, Reese. I'd like to see your old document, Ben, if you ever get a chance to see it.
Yeah, it's funny.
Anything else on that? Engaging neighborhoods. It came up, I think, it ended up on the list of goals. It very much ended up on the list of goals. So we'll get that list back out and then we'll figure out how to do it. Does everybody I think we all would love to do this more, and I love the idea, somebody mentioned, and maybe it was you, the POAs and HOAs, and getting a list of those and finding out who they are and what their meeting schedules are and how we can work with those some more.
And Reese, y'all have a structure in the city where y'all interface with the neighborhoods.
I want to pull a number off the top of my head, but it's somewhere between 13 and 16 neighborhoods that are active, identified, and then currently it's just the communication director, but they do have a monthly meeting, and then they're asked for their input on various different projects that are undertaken in the city. Now, whether that individual neighborhood actually takes those meetings into their neighborhood, that's probably about 4 or 5, but they have groups that actively meet. And then the city provides the forum once a month. They come in, the heads of those associations.
You've got somebody facilitating that meeting, or you used to anyway, so it stayed on point. You had your vendors, you had your partners, the contracting partners, you had neighborhood representatives, and it was like a 10 to 12 meeting, and it was pretty much on point the whole time.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now that you just give Jeff some help, because they really care about what Public Works does for the city and the town.
Right, I think they're, and I think what they had, there was really a lot of active neighborhoods that was easy to kind of bring that thing together. I remember when Libby did it many, many years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure at the beginning that it took a huge effort on her part.
Yes.
And, credit is due there for sure. And ultimately, the neighborhoods have done a good job. I would say 10 of them probably provide a representative. And we just started it back up in a virtual environment about 2 months ago. But it does take a staffer to keep that thing going.
I just remember years ago when Wrights Point first took off, they had, their HOA had meetings, and I was always invited into those meetings to come and listen and answer questions, which I think is good if 2 council members went to, and we rotate them, who goes to what. But I think it kind of gets some of their questions from the neighborhoods back to us, and then some concerns that we can stop or, tell them whether it's true or not true.
That's one thing that, there's a couple of HOAs in the city, but the other thing to contemplate is that legacy neighborhoods that are not HOA driven do have groups. So the Old Commons, at times Mossy Oaks, The Point, Pigeon Point, off the top of my head, they have groups that are meeting pretty regularly. So
Higginsonville.
Yeah, and that helps kind of keep the thing going and keep the momentum going too. So there's definitely some input on the citizens' behalf that needs to occur to make it viable.
But I think what made that, because I was a part of them back in like 2010, 11, 12, 13, what made them successful was you had a moderator, facilitator or something, and it wasn't just a free-for-all. There was structure to it, and you actually accomplished some things. It was good.
Right. The department head or their representative from each department in the city attends that monthly meeting, and then there's usually a guest speaker, and then the moderator everybody walks through what the concerns of the neighborhoods are, and it does take 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right. Woo. Returning to face-to-face meetings. So that's a conversation. We've already talked a little bit about this. How do we, I reached out to the city of Beaufort, asked Stephen where he was, what they were thinking. I guess his thought is similar to what we tried once already, which is bring this group in first. And he was thinking maybe May as the earliest that they were going to do that. They were working on some logistics on how to communicate again and how to make that happen. And then the same as us, where you go from us to presenters to then moving to the public over a period of a couple of months as the vaccination rate keeps rising and more of the citizens are vaccinated. When I spent some time talking with the hospital staff and what they think is the right way to stop the mask ordinances or reduce them to a strongly encourage, and they're absolutely all about vaccination rate, getting that rate up more, the closest as possible to 70+%. And do we, so then we have to decide at some 50 or 60%, do we stop the ordinance and go to a strongly encourage as it kind of keeps progressing? The one thing you have to admit, I don't know that, I guess I always hoped and wished that this would happen, but it's amazing how the curve of the number of vaccines they're hitting in the arms is starting to rise on a daily basis. That the whole supply chain, and you two probably, chiefs, you probably have more information than I do on this, but it seems like the supply chain is getting smoother and smoother, and more of them are reaching Beaufort County every day than had done, or every week, because it's really a week's allocation, than the week before. Is that true in what it appears to be?
Maybe Van can help me, but I missed last week's call, but I do know that there's...
It was canceled, so you're good.
Okay,
No,
all right.
that was canceled, Bruce. You didn't miss it.
Yeah,
None of us had it. That's why I don't know for sure.
Well, thanks for letting me off the hook. But what I knew was that there was still a backlog, a significant backlog of appointments, which indicates that we still have not caught up and have the throughput of vaccines that we would like to see. And I do know that the same thing is occurring south of the Broad, that Hilton Head Hospital has moved all their vaccines to the Buckwalter facility in Bluffton, and they're still taking the appointments. My intuition tells me that with the governor this week opening it all the way down to 16,
At the
that
end
that
of the
will,
month.
at the end of the month, correct, but that will, that's next week. It won't take much for those appointments still to be a challenge to ascertain. And what I would tell you is I think that all of a sudden there's going to be, the supply and demand curve is going to shift. And suddenly there will be an oversupply and an under demand. It's coming.
It's coming, but not yet here yet.
Not here yet, but it is coming.
What are we at right now? Is 35% of Beaufort counties at least gotten one shot? From
Yeah, that's what I read.
Age 15 up, 35%. So I mean, that's 1 in 3. I mean, it's
Yeah, a couple, like I said, I think we're really getting to, like I said, a couple of months away, 3 months away to really changing what we're doing. And if there are other counties in the state of South Carolina that literally you could call to, you could reach out to other counties, to a Walgreens or a CVS, and you get an appointment this afternoon or tomorrow. So there's a surplus of vaccine in counties, and I think we'll start to see that, like you said, the allocation starting to move. Do you have something you wanted to add?
No, I would just counter that while it may appear to be a surplus of vaccine, I think it's a surplus or a under demand of the vaccine.
Sorry, under demand. I'll change that. Yeah. It's, you could look. That's half full, half empty glass. I got it.
I'm
Half
dancing
empty, half
around
vial.
people. We knew this 2 months ago that we were going to have a problem occur eventually where people were going to say, okay, that the people that wanted it are going to have it, and then now we're back to the education, the necessity, pushing people over the edge that are really still hesitant, and they're still out there.
Yes.
So that I bring that up because I'm not so sure that the data will reflect a point in time where it's obvious that it's time to go back to normal, because I'm not so sure that we're going to get over that curve of people. Everybody's not going to take it.
And I think I read in one of the articles that I was reading yesterday, in one of it was more of a doctor's report, a report from the CDC, that they're concerned that there's going to be about 30% of the people that are going to decide ultimately that they're not going to have it. So you're never going to get to that 70 or 80, that 70 plus percent, 80%, because there's 30% already that's saying they don't want it, and it may not have it. So that's when we have to start balancing that decision to say, well, then as much as I want to wear this to protect you, you can protect yourself by doing that, and that's side we need to be worried about and move forward. But
when do we want to talk about it again, the opening back up?
Well, I think we should, and I think that maybe we look at that same kind of thing at that May meeting is our first meeting, that we say gives our staff another month to make sure everybody who wants it can get the vaccine. Because in my mind, if they haven't gotten it already, and like I said, it just went, and we know there's a backlog. We got 65 and less, and now it's dropping all the way down. So you have to get 2 shots, and it's really 14 days after the second shot that you're going to reach whatever level of resistance you're going to have. So you got to give everybody that opportunity. So I think if we tell people that come May, we're opening up, we're going to be here, the shots are available, you need to sign yourself up, you need to get the shot, and then we're going to be face-to-face.
Are we saying we're gonna open up face-to-face, that we're gonna be here
First month
and
with staff.
then we'll talk about letting the public in? Is that
Correct.
what you're saying?
That's what I'm
Okay, I
saying
just want
right
to
now.
clarify, because
That's what I'm suggesting as a way that we phase back into it. And we also allow our boards and commissions in May to phase back into it.
Yeah, okay. I just want to be sure.
Does that make sense, Kevin? Am I saying that right?
So April meeting us, and then May meeting
No.
public?
May meeting us.
April meeting, just like now, May meeting us, June meeting.
Because I just want to, when we can allow people back in here, because, it's, at this point, restaurants are 100%, banks are open, schools are open. I'm just having a hard time telling people they can't come to the place
So-
that they pay for with their tax dollars.
So we're saying July. Doors would be open, if you follow that schedule.
June
So May, June, July.
Okay.
So May.
April virtual? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just talking out loud.
Yeah, that's fine. May
this. June, anybody who's presenting to us.
Okay.
So that's starting to bring in people that are presenting things and
Right.
actively business
And then
with us. In July, the chairs are set back up.
I don't have a problem with that.
July, the chairs are set back up. And that gives
anybody that has to come here, they know beforehand and they have the opportunity to find and get the shot if they want to have it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
And they're beyond the waiting period of being active, you know, that they're fully,
Yeah, there's plenty of time.
yeah.
July, we're doing fireworks. I mean, we're all gonna be,
Right, that's
So,
it.
we need to
We're
be-
back to
yeah.
normal, and that's, you know, maybe that part of the fireworks to celebrate that we're doing. Then the other piece is, how do we open this door? And when do we say that we're open for business? And that, I would look for a recommendation from staff to tell us how they want it and when they're gonna do that. Starting on his mic.
Yeah. No comment. Well, you know, other than the door being locked, we've never closed. I mean, we're still doing business. So, and, you know, I think we will probably mirror as much as we can your schedule. What's interesting about some of the other buildings is, you know, the county has a federal presence, the legislative delegation or a state presence, if you will. And so they have to abide by whatever the state standards are in terms of access, I believe. I mean, I don't know what your timeline is for letting people back in the building, or if you already are. So,
We are, and it's been controlled access, so you come in the building at will and then access the departments as necessary once you're in there, but the doors are open.
yeah, we're open for court now, because, like I said earlier, that's dictated by the state. We have protocols in place in terms of limited access, number of seats, that sort of thing. I'd want to give staff, you know, wouldn't want to go in on Monday and say we're opening the doors.
I think
But,
that's why we're
you know, we
talking
need
about
to
this
identify, and I've got to know that the people working here are comfortable with that. Because we've had some issues at the door where people, you know, said some things about that. So, you know, we'll mull that one over, talk it out.
Talk to us next month on that. Everybody could, but certainly starting to figure out, and I don't know, I'm not sure this is the right room. Maybe you guys think about the fact of offering someplace to our boards and commissions. I don't know if the training room makes more sense to set that up for board and commission meetings, to say, here's a room that's available and we're giving you this amount of space for that, because this room could be tough for that in that way. But again, start thinking about a plan so that we can get those things moving forward and how we can get them interacting again. But we're not talking tomorrow. We're not talking Monday, I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, but the reality is, you know, the Redevelopment Commission and Parks and Rec, and that's who we're really talking about, you know, they've got 5 or 6 members. They could be set up in here. You know, it's just the issue of the public access.
Right.
You know, they'd have to be set up under the same parameters. Basically, we'd have it Facebook Live. And then it becomes an issue for Sean, because then we start pulling him in 3,000 different directions. And Tony. So you know, that's in the city as well. I mean, you know. Yeah.
What's the city doing with its boards and commissions at this point? You know?
They're meeting under the same Zoom and broadcast to Facebook as the council does. And I'll be honest with you, that's a point well taken about Sean, because he's our contractor as well, and we have squarely under the directive to keep that happening. Even if they're having a public, everybody join meeting, that's an initiative, is to continue to push the meetings out to the public virtually.
Okay. All right.
Sean's just going to start a TV station.
We have
Or, you know, a podcast.
Or a podcast, yes.
The Boy and the Beard.
There's the plug.
Yeah.
So we did get comments from citizens. I've got a list of them here. I want to make sure that at some point during this day we talked about each and every one of these. First one I've got here is from Becky Garrett. It states here, flooding issues on 9th, 10th, and 11th Street. Clearly, stormwater came up. It's on our list. It's become one of our goals to discuss. Van updated us on what he saw driving through that during the 5+ inches of rain we had the other day. So that is something we will be working. Also pointed out about some sidewalk repairs and cracks. And again, that's right back to that conversation we're having. We've got to figure out a funding source to be able to deal with these issues. You talked about possibly having to do some billing or
or grinding on some sidewalks
Yeah, there's
in
some that
area.
can definitely be ground, but there are a few sections that are clearly impacted pretty significantly by root systems.
And
But the flooding is occurring in sidewalks in front of houses where there is a compaction of the soil and really no grass. And so it's not perking, it's just sitting because it's somewhat depressed. And so we have to take a look at and I'll bring engineering in, look at the elevations. Why, because the water cleared out off the street,
Right.
and for the most part, it out fell to Madrid and out into the river.
Right.
But standing water in depressed areas and where there's areas where the sidewalks rose on either side created bowl-like situation. So and then that way it's got to just kind of soak.
We've got another one from Johnny Lambert referencing sewer on 15th Street between Edinburgh and Columbia. We talked about that specifically today. We've talked about a plan on sewer, how to move this forward. We'll make sure that this street is one of those ones that the Water Authority looks at, and we can figure out what needs to be done there. We got a message from Buddy Brown. I'd like to have an update on the development of the port. We've spoken at length at that and what's happening with the port. I wish we had more to tell everybody. Let's see. LED light fixtures. We very much had an update. We've signed that contract. We're moving forward. We yet do not have a schedule, but we are certainly moving forward with that. And hopefully we can take this even a little further and get an idea of where all their lights are, as we talked about, and then maybe even make some adjustments to where lights are. And that was from Elisa Avery. We got Denise Ershwood. Sorry, let me. So this one has to do with traffic and speeding is the number one concern. We've talked a lot about that, what our traffic resource officer's done, what's happening with that, and it obviously was a goal that we set out. Chief's taken seriously, and he's working hard on that one. And please bring back the festivals and street music. We've addressed that, and we have a plan. It's coming your way, and we'll move that forward.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
does it give a location for streets?
I don't, but we can certainly get with Brooke. It has her, she's on 12th Street.
Okay, thank you.
Just so that you know, she lives on 12th Street. Question was, does it give address of the speeding? It didn't, but the resident lives on 12th Street. Donna Miller wants to know about speed bumps being installed and plans to lower speed limits, and thank you. So once again, it's a speeding issue. The tabletop speed bump is being evaluated as part of.
That was gonna be rolled up, and then we're talking, if that's a prototype, they're gonna be expensive. I don't know if those are the ones that willing, I guess, it's gonna be up to the company to decide whether we want to build those types. And we're getting requests all over the place for speed bumps. And, we have to come to.
That's because it didn't pick that part up. Most of the time.
Yeah, I didn't pick up that last thing. Good. So we've got to order, if we're going to, for these secondary road ones, we're probably just going to have to order some of the ones that,
The
get
ones we already
flattened
used.
out. Like
Or maybe
they
we do them
on-
as a double? We can do them as a double, put them.
We'll stack them too high.
Couple of feet apart, you get the bump.
Well, I don't know who built those ones with roll palms. Maybe we'll call that guy.
That's the last email that was submitted to me. I think we've dealt with all of them. We're at miscellaneous. Anything that we did not talk about that you really want to talk about?
I just want to give Sean an opportunity real quick, if he'll turn his mic on, to talk. He gave you all a report. I mean, he didn't have to go through all of it, but he maybe can give you a summarization of if we've seen any increases, decreases.
Yeah.
Do we have a copy of that report?
He
Oh,
just-
it's in the packet.
I'll get you a copy.
Yeah, we can get a copy of it.
Is that in the packet? I don't remember seeing that.
Most likely.
Okay.
You want to put it on the overhead?
Yeah. Here.
It's going down.
It's getting late, Reese, huh?
So this is year-to-date, so the impressions on Facebook only were up 1.8, 2.6 million folks were reached. We had 165,000 folks engaged, which is up 8% over the year-to-date, and almost 5,000 link clicks. And typically those are back to the website or if there's an article or something about Port Royal. Net page likes are down only because Facebook goes through and purges some of the accounts that aren't active. Yeah, go ahead. Publishing behavior with total published posts were 950, up 2%. Videos up 110%, a lot more videos, get more engagement, so we kind of started doing more of those. And obviously, when you do videos, something has to give, so photos were kind of down a little bit. Our most popular post, the first one was back in December 1st. The fish camp photo with the Christmas tree had 15,000 engagement, reached reactions almost 9,000, 1,100 comments. That's huge. And then the closing, Keep the Skate Park Clean was very popular. And then Who's in Love with Our Port Royal Sunsets, our third popular. Impressions, as I said, 2.6 million. Organic was 2.5. Paid impressions, 1,400. Now, there's probably an ad somewhere small. We don't put any money into the ads or into any posts. Video performance, organic full, almost 18,000, organic partial. You'll have all this, so this is really irrelevant. And again, the reactions, comments are up 25%, shares up almost 10%, post link clicks down a little bit, and it depends on the relevant of the content that it is and if it's important for them to click on it. Audience by age, again, we're roughly 70-30. I guess Facebook's added a new gender, non-binary, unspecified, so it's kind of dropped down. Typically it's 70-30, but we see 70-29, but that's consistent across every channel we do. 70% are women and 30% are men. And then you see the age demographic, 45 to 54s are most popular here for Port Royal.
We're big in Japan.
We are. And I would probably the military base, and then having parents and folks. Yeah, exactly right.
That's why.
My family.
Yes.
Keep it up.
Engaged by gender, 74% women, 25% men. And again, you see the age range. The higher percentage engaged is relative to the folks that are here in Port Royal, 55 to 64 and 65 and up. So resonating with the reached by demographics, again, 66% women, 33% men, and the 55 to 64 folks. And is that it? Yeah.
I love that our social media guy has me using paper on an overhead.
I could have sent it electronically, but I was sitting there this morning. I think I printed out. But we are doing well on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook obviously is more consistent with the age group that we have here in Port Royal, so it garners more. And we utilize the Instagram kind of from a tourism standpoint, the pretty pictures and some of the stuff that's happening, the Anchor Park, the Travel and Buoy, things of that nature. Folks really gravitate to and they like. And then Twitter is strictly more for the professional. If there's something happening with traffic and I get an alert, we'll post that. The newsletter goes there automatically. Today's event was posted on Twitter, so we kind of keep it relevant to whatever that platform is. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any
Thanks.
questions for Sean?
No, you do a good job, Sean. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we appreciate y'all. Thank
Sean, how old is Facebook?
you. Ooh.
I was thinking about that the other day because we're all struggling with the same thing about making sure what's next.
Yeah.
But Facebook is coming up on 20 plus.
It is. So we started a TikTok account for the CVB, and I've included some Port Royal stuff in there, but it's hard for a destination to be on TikTok unless you're one of those European destinations and we got great views, don't get me wrong, but it's just hard to capture that audience, and I'm not out there dancing.
Who's dancing?
It's under where?
CVB, so it's Visit Beaufort.
Okay.
So
04, okay.
04, yeah.
That's the point. That's kind of.
When you forget
Yeah.
that it feels like Facebook is just this It's not.
Yeah,
It's
no.
getting old.
And for the younger kids, it's an older demographic. You know, my daughter's barely on Facebook and she's 18.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't even know what Facebook
yeah,
is.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So.
I still got my MySpace account, so
Yeah. you and Justin Timberlake, I think.
What's your music? Your cover music?
I have no idea.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean.
Yes, sir.
Anything else for the good of today?
No, sir.
Then closing comments. Jerry, you got anything you want to?
We're good. We covered a lot of stuff. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good. Well
Darryl?
done.
I think it was very productive.
I think everybody did a great job. Thanks to everybody that came in and participated, and, you know, just want to thank all of our employees, each and every employee, including Town Hall. What a great job y'all do, and how y'all have all handled the COVID-19. You know, just keep it up, and we're going to move forward into 21, going into 22, and hope things are better.
Yep.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Good to go.
I want to thank staff for taking your Saturday and coming in here and giving us great information. It's important for us to hear from you, understand what you need, what your goals are, and you kind of hearing from us what we're thinking. And let's have another great year together and keep it moving. Thanks, everybody.